Chapter 64. Mother, this is not made by a powerful person. It is an auspicious sign. There is a family who planted cucumbers in summer, and in winter, they bear cucumbers. The county magistrate has already reported it. On the 15th, someone will come down to check. Mother, which cucumbers do you think are good? Pick them and eat them. Deputy County Magistrate Zhong Mingsheng was afraid that his mother would expose this matter. If that was the case, he would not be able to eat cucumbers in the future. Other benefits would also be lost. Wouldn't the people of Zhangjiazhuangzi hate him to death? Mother Zhong was stunned. She looked at the cucumbers carefully and then turned to look at her son. She reached out her hand and touched her son's head. She said, "Oh, I was wondering why there are so many cucumbers. So it is an auspicious sign. My son, don't worry. I understand. I understand. This is an auspicious sign. It is not easy for the people to live. In the future, you must remember not to do things that cut off people's livelihood. When the auspicious signs in Sanshui are almost there, other places in Tang will also have auspicious signs." Song Jinggong was frightened when he heard this. This old lady was not simple. She actually understood everything from the deputy county magistrate's simple words. Fortunately, the old lady was a good person. She knew to help him hide the truth. He was relieved. The deputy county magistrate also knew that he could not lie to his mother. He helped his mother into the house and said while walking, "Mother is right. I will remember mother's teachings. I will never do things that harm people's money. Moreover, my mother likes to eat cucumbers." Mother Zhong laughed. "You know how to make your mother happy. Pick a few more cucumbers and bring them back. I will dip them in the chili sauce and eat less. I am not afraid of spiciness." Mother Zhong really walked in. It seemed that she also understood that as long as the people who came down to check saw the cucumbers alive, it would be the biggest success. As for the future, these cucumbers would be useless. She would eat a lot of cucumbers herself. Seeing the two of them go in, Song Jinggong's task was completed. He had to go back early. He did not know what things were going to be busy over there, especially the firecrackers. It seemed that he was going to be sold again. He was also a high scholar. It was fine if he was an advisor, but he still had to do business outside. Song Jinggong and Steward Wang led the caravan back. Some of the carriages were borrowed, but they didn't lend the people. The drivers were all farmers from the Zhong and Wang family who knew how to drive the carriages. In a small courtyard belonging to Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan in Zhangjiazhuangzi, the two of them were practicing military boxing. Every move they made looked pretty good, but there wasn't much strength behind them. In less than an hour, the two of them were sweating profusely. He was afraid that he would catch a cold from the cold wind outside, so he stopped there for the time being. He returned to the house to change his clothes and wipe his sweat. It was time for snacks again. He ate fried carrots as chips and cucumbers as fruit. There was also a bowl of egg soup beside him. The two of them put the food into their mouths and slowly chewed. They tried their best to chew the food into small pieces so that their bodies could absorb it. Now, the two of them basically ate 7 or 8 times a day to replenish their energy. Compared to children of the same age, the two of them were obviously taller and stronger. This was the result of training and eating. Ernu has been out for a few days. I don't know if he can find the wheat rice stone. It will be spring plowing in a few days. The wheat has been planted long ago and will be coming out soon. Do you think we will have a drought this year? We have to prepare in advance. I've asked around. There are already tankers. A few of them are enough to supply water for 2 zhuangzi. Wang Huan ate 2 carrots and drank a mouthful of soup. She leaned back on the chair she had made and lay down comfortably as she asked casually, "It's not hard to find. I've already told him what it looks like. When the time comes, he can ask someone to draw it and spend some money. Many people will help him find it. I don't remember there being a drought this year. In Shandong, there seems to be no rain this year. It's still the same in spring and summer. The current prime minister seems to be surnamed Yarrow. He was a very powerful person, but he was demoted. He handled the drought very well, and the locust plague was the same. If we go, it's just to find some benefits for ourselves. If they can't do it, I'll give the method of planting cucumbers to the imperial court. Zhong Xiaobao was still eating cucumbers. In this short while, he had eaten 2 of them. He only stopped to drink the soup when he felt that his mouth was dry. He was making judgments and choices. Wang Huan didn't say anything, tacitly agreeing with Zhong Xiaobao's decision. If it were her, she also didn't have a better idea. In fact, she also knew that with Zhong Xiaobao's brain, it wouldn't be a problem if he wanted to get more land. However, he didn't want to give up the 100 households' food. This was not only a matter of money, but also a matter of status. She and Zhong Xiaobao didn't care about this status, but the old master couldn't. There was also the old master. Once he lost this status, the old master's health was very likely to be affected. This was something that Zhong Xiaobao definitely didn't want to see happen. Zhong Xiaobao drank the last mouthful of soup, patted his stomach, and also closed his eyes for a while. When he felt that it was about time, he opened his eyes and said, "It's time to arrange a job for Shu Sai. Let's see how capable he is first, then we'll assign him a position according to his performance." "Ian, there's also a new person you found. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. These 2 days, he has been recuperating on Zhuangzi. He should be a little fatter, but he was a little too thin. He didn't give the impression that he was a reliable person. What are you going to arrange for him? There doesn't seem to be much to do on Zhuangzi." Wang Huan also opened her eyes. If Zhong Xiaobao didn't mention it, she would have almost forgotten about Shu Sai. "Yes, I will hand over the matters of the market to him, especially the pricing. This position is very important. If he does well, I plan to set up a business group next year and let him be in charge of it. We will be able to remove ourselves from this position. In the future, I will take the imperial examinations. In this world, it's not good to be weak, especially when it comes to power. What do you plan to do in the future? Tell me, and I will give you some advice. I usually don't do this kind of thing for others." Zhong Xiaobao didn't forget to tease Wang Huan. "I will also be an official. When the time comes, let's see who gets promoted faster. There are female officials here, right?" Wang Huan didn't care about Zhong Xiaobao's teasing and said proudly. Zhong Xiaobao was stunned when he heard this. "Forget it. What kind of work do female officials do? You are not suitable. Now is not the same as before. There are no longer women in power. Li Longji even got rid of his aunt. You still want to stand out? How about this? I will hand over the matters of the family to you. You just have to take care of the family. I don't want to stay at home all day. I want to have my own career." Wang Huan obviously didn't agree. "Do you think that it is so easy to take care of the family? In the future, there will be more and more people in my family. You will have to understand all the relationships and interests. Don't you want to train people? When the time comes, there will be more people for you to train. Let's not talk about this for now. It is still too early to talk about it. Let's go and meet Shu Sai." Zhong Xiaobao saw that he couldn't persuade Wang Huan, so he gave up. He got off the chair and waited for Wang Huan to get off the chair. Then, they walked out together. These 2 days, Shu Sai had been doing well. He ate as much as he could every day. This was what Zhong Xiaobao had told him. He was too thin and needed to eat more. This way, he would be able to do more things in the future. He didn't want to tire himself out during crucial times. Shu Sai didn't object and really ate as much as he could. He slept for at least 10 hours every day. He wanted to make himself fatter. After a few days, there were some results. His face had obviously become rounder. Today, he woke up very late. Just as he finished eating and didn't have time to think about what to do, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan came together. "Little Gongzi, are you going to find something for me to do?" Shu Sai became excited when he saw the little Gongzi. He had been waiting for him to arrange something for him to do. He also felt uncomfortable if he was always like this. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan looked at each other. Wang Huan said, "Yes, you have something to do. Can you read?" Replying to "Miss, I can't read." Shu Sai couldn't do anything about this. He felt that the little Gongzi and Wang Huan needed someone who could read, but he couldn't lie. Ian, it's okay if you can't read. You can slowly learn in the future. You should know what the farmers around here need, right? Wang Huan was a little disappointed, but she still encouraged him. Shu Sai nodded vigorously this time. I know, of course I know. Don't tell me you want me to guard that grocery store. I will definitely guard it well. Why guard that grocery store? That small place isn't suitable for you. After the 15th, you will set up a market on this side of the bridge. You need to buy the things that the farmers need now. You will go outside and negotiate the price. In the future, you will be responsible for setting the price for all the goods that the farmers bring. You can also keep the things that you can't exchange here. When the time comes, you can sell them to the other bigger cities. From now on, you will do everything by yourself. Tell Shiliu what kind of things you want to buy and how much you want. Take the money from her and go buy them. The others won't care. Zhong Xiaobao also spoke at this time. Shu Sai almost fainted when he heard this. He had never done these things before. Today, he was the only one in charge. He wanted to refuse, but he knew that if he really didn't accept this task, he would no longer be able to follow the little Gongzi in the future. Shu Sai gritted his teeth and finally nodded. Okay, little Gongzi, don't worry. I will definitely take care of this matter. I will think about it and find pomegranate when the time comes. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan didn't say anything else. They turned around and left. It didn't matter if they lost or gained. The main thing was that they wanted to see Shu Sai's ability. When the time came, they would be able to adjust their positions. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. It was the 15th of the first lunar month. Everyone was busy again. The firecrackers from Zhuangzi were sent everywhere. In the past few days, the number of people had increased by several times. The person in charge of selling firecrackers was Song Jinggong. On the same day, County Magistrate Cheng Lingxiang of Sanshui County led a group of people to make preparations. They were ready to welcome the people who came to check and verify the auspicious signs. He actually made it into the top 10 of the newcomer list. If he is still here tomorrow, there will be 5 more chapters. Chapter 65. As the sun rose, the new lanterns were hung up. Early in the morning, some children hurriedly hung up the lanterns in their houses. They usually hung up the lanterns for 3 days. As long as the family still had some spare money, they would not casually extinguish the lanterns. Those with better craftsmanship would make their own lanterns. They would make them into various shapes, with colored paper pasted on the outside and oil lamps or candles inside. When night fell, they would hang them under the eaves or hold them in their hands. They would flow with the waves like stars entering the water. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan had changed into new clothes today. They got up early to cooperate with the family. The two of them had already spent 100 taels of silver today to make an iron bucket. Xiao Hong, have the clothes we asked the tailor shop to make been delivered? In front of Wang Huan was a large piece of paper that outlined the general layout of the Zhong family and Wang family. Wang Huan held a thin brush in her hand and pointed at the option next to it. The word clothes was written there. Xiao Hong, pomegranate, and cherries had already handed over the trivial matters to others. They all stood in front of Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. 60% has been delivered. The remaining 40% will be delivered in 2 hours. All the servants of the Zhong family and Wang family in Zhuangzi have a total of 763 people. 763 sets of clothes and shoes are tailor-made. Not one person is missing. Xiao Hong was already used to the rules of the 2 young masters, so she took a step forward and answered. When they were taking measurements, they used the identities of the 2 village heads of the Zhong family and Wang family. They did not say that they were going to make clothes and shoes for the people in the village. These things were usually made at home. It was rare to order them from outside. Wang Huan used the brush to make a check mark behind the word clothes and then asked Cherries, have you prepared a lantern and a roasted chicken for each family? Cherries also took a step forward. There are a total of 234 households in the 2 villages. 234 lanterns and the same roasted chicken have been prepared and can be sent out at any time. In addition, each household's lantern can last for 3 days, and all the candles have been prepared. Wang Huan tapped on the back of the lantern. Pomegranate, how long will it take to wrap the meat dumplings? Replying to the young lady, each person has 10 big meat dumplings. Just now, we were short of 400 dumplings. Now, we have almost enough. 3,000 firecrackers for each household are in the storeroom. Pomegranate also stood out and replied. Thinking of the little young master and the little lady's spending today, she was so excited that her face was bright red. Wang Huan also tapped on this item. There was only one manservant left in the room, Huzi. Without waiting for Wang Huan to ask, Huzi began to speak. The two Zhuangzi have already dug pits to ensure that the torches will not fall down and cause a fire. There are a total of 790 pits and 790 torches. Everyone in the two Zhuangzi will have one each. The oil that has been mixed will ensure that the flames will not go out overnight. Good, everyone go and prepare. In the afternoon, distribute the items. Plug in the torches and light them up as soon as it gets dark. Wang Huan instructed, and the four of them left one after another. Only Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were left in the room. They still had to wait for Shu Sai to come back. The 100 taels of silver were not only spent on clothes, food, and other things that could be used, but also on Shu Sai's side. I heard that the person who came down this time has a bad relationship with Zhu Shihu's uncle. I haven't finished yet. I'm thinking about the details. Oh, that's more like it. Like I said, you are not Zhong Xiaobao if you only come up with one idea that is not guaranteed. Wang Huan was relieved. Zhong Xiaobao's hand flicked on his leg a few times. Song Jinggong has something to do. According to the information, military advisor Chen Yong and Chen Jinian like to pretend to be cultured. There are 3 big restaurants in Sanshui County. There is also a Luoshui River in the north. That river does not belong to our county, but it belongs to Luoshui County. A normal journey would take half a day. Let's think of poems from the later part of this era and write them down for Song Jinggong. Then, we'll take out some things that we don't have here and some new recipes. Let Song Jinggong hold Chen Yong back at the 3 restaurants and the Luoshui River so that he won't be willing to leave the brothels. You are so bad. Tell me, how many people did you corrupt in the past? Wang Huan understood as soon as she heard it. It was a simple and practical method. When she thought about how many high-ranking officials helped to cover up after they were cheated, she understood why. A fly never bites a flawless egg. Apart from this, we also need to fork out some money to let some people stop and cry out for justice. We need County Magistrate Cheng's cooperation. These are all trivial matters. Let Chen Yong enjoy the thrill of making decisions for the people. After he is satisfied, let the people send him gifts like silk banners. Invite him to the farmer's house to eat some farmer's food and enjoy the pleasure of being close to the people. If these are not enough, we will make him sick. I don't believe that he will have the time to care about us. Zhong Xiaobao said slowly. Wang Huan stared at Zhong Xiaobao as she listened. Bad, he was full of bad ideas. It was good that he was bad. With such a bad person, it would be much easier to live together in the future. Little young master, little miss, I am back. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan had just finished discussing how to scheme against people when Shu Sai rushed in from outside. Usually, he would not be able to enter the courtyard as he pleased, but today was special. It's good that you are back. How did the matter go? Wang Huan was in charge of everything today, so Wang Huan opened her mouth to ask. It's done. This lowly one has already found the lion dancers. This time, there will be 50 of them. They will dance at the bridge. It will be lively for the whole night. This lowly one has also prepared some goods that are commonly used. There are also a few types of snacks that will be displayed at the bridge when the time comes. I am thinking that the goods tonight will not make a profit. As long as I can keep my capital, it will be fine. I did not discuss this with little miss and little young master. If it is not possible, I will raise the price. Shu Sai had been very busy these past 2 days. The market was originally supposed to be held after the 15th day of the lunar month, but he unexpectedly held it until the evening of the 15th day. Wang Huan and Zhong Xiaobao only asked him to find people to perform the lion dance. When they heard Shu Sai's words, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were not unhappy. Instead, they smiled. Shu Sai saw the two children with innocent smiles. He felt that they were cute, but he was also a little scared. He was worried that he had done something wrong. Okay. Zhong Xiaobao said one word. Okay. Wang Huan also said one word. Shu Sai did not know what to do. Little young master and Wang Huan's expressions and words were a little wrong. Shu Sai, don't worry, it is indeed good. Since we have handed the market over to you, we will not care what you do. In a while, you can go to Xiao Bao's and my warehouse and choose something worth about 20 taels of silver. There are also a few snacks in the courtyard. If you can't eat them outside, you can go to the kitchen and find someone to make them. I want to make it on the 15th day of the lunar month so that everyone will remember it. Wang Huan and Zhong Xiaobao were very satisfied with Shu Sai. Shu Sai had an unusual talent for understanding business opportunities and consumer psychology. As long as he had the capital to do business for a few days, the market would naturally open. They would guide him more in the future as it would be of great use to him in the future. After receiving praise and authorization, Shu Sai gratefully left. The fatigue from the past few days seemed to disappear in the blink of an eye. He, Shu Sai, finally had a day where he could do big things. In the past, he had looked for the head of the GE family to talk to him and give him some ideas. In the end, he was chased out. From then on, he was discouraged and obediently worked in the fields. Who would have thought that I, Shu Sai, would finally find a good head? This is what it means to have trust. I heard that there was a powerful person in the past. What's his name again? I can't remember. He said that he would not doubt the people he used. Yes, I must make the market well and let the GE family see that I, Shu Sai, am not the Saigo of the past. Shu Sai thought about this in his heart and clenched his fists tightly. Just as he left the small courtyard of Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan, he stopped and turned to face Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan's house and knelt down. He continuously kowtowed 3 times before he stood up and walked away with his head held high. Old man, look at that good grandson and granddaughter-in-law of yours. What do you think of their management methods? In another courtyard diagonally opposite Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan's courtyard, old Madame Fu smiled and asked Old Master Zhong, who had also seen what Shu Sai did when he left. Old Master Weiwei nodded. Yes, our Zhong family's generation is successful. Qiao is a good daughter-in-law. She controlled the family well and even gave birth to a good grandson for us. In the future, we will enjoy a good life. Chapter 66. County Magistrate Cheng of Sanshui County was not as relaxed as Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. He had been waiting outside with a group of people for 3.5 hours. The snow had not melted yet, and the breeze outside made people feel cold from the inside out. County Magistrate Cheng knew that the person who came this time was Chen Yong, the military advisor. He did not get along well with his colleague, Zhu Qiong. He was closer to Zhu Qiong because his nephew was here. They said that they would arrive around 7:15 a.m., but it was almost noon. Judging from the situation, they did it on purpose. County Magistrate Cheng suppressed his anger and could only continue to wait here. There was a difference of 1 rank between them, and they were here for a specific purpose. If he really neglected them, they might report that they had neglected the auspicious signs. Sir, why don't you enter the carriage to warm up? I'll wait here. It won't be too late for you to come down when they arrive. Deputy County Magistrate Zhong Mingsheng saw that County Magistrate Cheng's expression was not good, so he softly persuaded him. County Magistrate Cheng wanted to go in and warm himself up, but when he saw Zhao Xiong next to him, he suppressed this thought. Zhao Xiong was the head of the department, so he still had some restrictions on him. Usually, the two of them had an average relationship, neither close nor distant. Fortunately, Zhao Xiong had never done anything bad. Usually, the registrar was very businesslike. Who knew if he would impeach him if he entered the carriage at this time? He stood so straight and did not speak, as if the weather was not cold. It was almost noon. Except for Zhao Xiong, who still had no expression on his face, the others were a little impatient. They stamped their feet one after another. Their feet were cold. From time to time, people passed by and knew that they were waiting for someone. Some people guessed that something auspicious had happened in Sanshui County. If it was on a normal day, they would watch from the side. However, today was the 15th day of the month, so they were all busy with tonight's matters. None of them stayed and left after seeing. After waiting for a quarter of an hour, a group of people finally appeared in the distance. There were people in the front with flags, and behind them was a carriage. This time, they were right. They were here. The people of Sanshui County were moving around. They had to greet them later. As the group got closer, County Magistrate Cheng gave up waiting and led people to greet them. When the two sides met, County Magistrate Cheng opened his mouth first. The County Magistrate of Sanshui County, Cheng Lingxiang, respectfully welcomes Lord Auspicious Sign Patrol Inspector and Commander Sai Gong, Chen Yong. After a while, the door to the carriage was opened and a person walked out. It was none other than Chen Jinian, the Prefectural Minister of Merit, Chen Yong. When Chen Yong came out, there was no expression on his face. Wei Wei nodded. County Magistrate Cheng, we were ordered to investigate the auspicious sign. The weather was bad on the way, so we were delayed. We will go and take a look. I heard that the auspicious sign came from Zhuangzi. Let's set off now. Hearing this, County Magistrate Cheng cursed in his heart. What bad weather! The 15th of August last year was a sunny day, so it should be the same on the 15th of January this year. You want to go to Zhuangzi? Dream on. There are cucumbers in Zhuangzi. Do you think I'll let you go? Although he thought so, he put on a humble smile and said, Lord Chen, the auspicious sign is no longer in Zhuangzi. It has been moved to a place on the bank of the Luoshui River. If you want to see the auspicious sign, why don't you go there? Chen Yong, the Prefectural Minister of Merit, was stunned when he heard County Magistrate Cheng's words. He didn't expect the people here to move the cucumbers so quickly. He originally planned to go to Zhuangzi. After all, Zhuangzi was full of ordinary people. As long as he didn't follow the etiquette well, he could impeach County Magistrate Cheng and say that he neglected the auspicious sign. But now that the cucumbers were moved here, he couldn't go to Zhuangzi. Otherwise, County Magistrate Cheng could submit a report and ask him whether he came to see the auspicious sign or Zhuangzi. Okay, then take me there. Seeing that he didn't use his first preparation, Chen Yong didn't say much. He nodded and agreed. They didn't even prepare to eat and went there. Although it was called the Luoshui River, it was actually a tributary. It was different from the tributary where the carrots stopped. Ordinary people called it Little Luoshui. People like County Magistrate Cheng didn't like to be called Little Luoshui. Little Luoshui was not as far away as the real Luoshui, but it wasn't close either. After walking for more than an hour, they arrived at the place. They stopped and saw the place that was surrounded by cloth. This is the auspicious sign, the cucumbers. Chen Yong pointed and asked with a sullen face. Yes, Lord. Please take a closer look. Deputy County Magistrate Zhong Mingsheng answered at this time and led them to open the cloth. County Magistrate Cheng Lingxiang, do you admit to your crime? Chen Yong didn't answer Deputy County Magistrate but stared at him and asked. What crime does Lord Chen want to convict me of? County Magistrate Cheng didn't smile at this time. You are here to find fault. Crime? What crime? Did you eat less cucumbers? The purpose of Chen Yong's visit was very clear. He wanted to leave the benefits of the auspicious sign to the county and find fault with the county magistrate. It would be fine if he didn't get punished, but he wouldn't get the benefits. Therefore, he had to convict Cheng Lingxiang of a crime so that his merits could offset his demerits. The weather was so cold, and the cucumbers were hanging on the stalks. Just looking at them made them feel festive. No wonder they were said to be auspicious signs. The crowd was looking at them. Just like the people in the county, they all wanted to pick one of the cucumbers themselves. They didn't even wash it. They rubbed it and took a bite. The taste was definitely different. Everyone, please take a look. These are the cucumbers that didn't bear cucumbers. But a few days ago, some of them had already borne cucumbers and withered. Some of them are still growing. This one, when I came to see it yesterday, it was only 2 inches long. Today, it has grown to 3 inches. Our dynasty's new policy, so the auspicious sign appeared. County Magistrate Cheng Lingxiang introduced it to the crowd. The crowd quickly nodded and said yes. No one dared to say anything. According to County Magistrate Cheng, the auspicious sign appeared in the 2nd year of Kaiyuan. Of course, it was the new policy. Chen Yong originally wanted to find fault with it, but after hearing County Magistrate Cheng's words, he had to give up. Now that the auspicious sign had appeared, even if it was decided, someone had suggested to take some away. County Magistrate Cheng had also agreed. When the time came, who knew how many of them would still be alive? Who cared who wanted to use this to seek an official career? It was fine as long as they could protect themselves. Since the matter had been decided, it was time to eat. Everyone was hungry. County Magistrate Cheng originally wanted to arrange for them to stay at the Waterview restaurant, but before he could say anything, Song Jinggong ran over, panting. He had just arrived on a horse. Just now, he had gone to contact Thousand Tasting Town's water restaurant. That restaurant was opened by someone from elsewhere. Not only was he willing to arrange a place for them, he didn't even want a single copper coin. Zijin, why are you in such a hurry? County Magistrate Cheng saw that Song Jinggong was in such a hurry, and his heart tightened. Sir, this student will listen to your instructions. I have already booked a place at Thousand Tasting Town's water restaurant, Song Jinggong replied respectfully. Oh, right, it's like that. If Zijin hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten. Everyone, the place to eat has been chosen. Why don't we go together? County Magistrate Cheng heaved a sigh of relief and called everyone to Thousand Tasting Town's water restaurant. Chapter 67. County Magistrate Cheng took the lead and led the way. At the same time, he gave Deputy County Magistrate Zhong Mingsheng a look. Zhong Mingsheng and Wei Wei nodded to show that they understood. They followed behind the group and found Song Jinggong. Young Master Song, is there any change? Zhong Mingsheng was not in a hurry. He felt that since Song Jinggong had arranged the place, it meant that he was prepared. He pulled Song Jinggong behind him and asked softly, Yes. This time, no matter what, we have to keep them here. When the time comes, they will leave, Song Jinggong said softly. But how do we do that? I think that Chen Yong did not come with good intentions. It's simple. You just have to do this. Song Jinggong told them all the methods that Zhong Xiaobao had taught him. He was also impressed. His young master was really amazing. Zhong Mingsheng did not have much contact with Song Jinggong. Occasionally, he heard that there was a master guiding Song Jinggong. Since Song Jinggong was here today, Zhong Mingsheng felt that he must have something to do with that master. He listened carefully and wanted to know what that master had come up with. The more Zhong Mingsheng listened, the more surprised he became. In the end, he opened his mouth and did not even care about the cold wind pouring into his stomach. When he finished listening, Song Jinggong hurriedly took 2 steps forward. Only then did Zhong Mingsheng react. He thought to himself, it is indeed extraordinary. No wonder the county magistrate said that he would protect the manner's recipe no matter what. It turns out that he was not afraid that the recipe would be leaked, but was afraid that the master would be angry. Thinking of this, he looked with pity at Chen Yong, who was still walking in front of him and chatting cheerfully with the county magistrate. He shook his head and followed them. He wanted to find an opportunity to tell the county magistrate about this matter. After all, this involved some of the county magistrate's circumstances. For example, the county magistrate had to be prepared for some of these things. The group of people did not take a carriage. They just walked slowly. It was as if they were competing for patience and determination. It was also as if they were using this time to think about their future. When the crowd arrived at the entrance of Thousand Tinge Town's water tavern, 50,000 firecrackers were set off. Chen Yong and the others who did not know what was going on were so scared that they did not even dare to take a step forward. Even after the firecrackers were set off, everyone's ears were still ringing. County Magistrate Cheng, what is this? Why is there such a big commotion? Could it be that someone wants to harm auspicious sign? Chen Yong shouted at County Magistrate Cheng with all his might. In fact, he was asking if anyone would harm him. Don't worry, sir. These are called firecrackers. They were made by a businessman for festive occasions. They can also be used to guard houses, just like the firecrackers that were set off on the 30th, County Magistrate Cheng explained tactfully. The people led by Chen Yong immediately understood. It turned out that this thing had so many benefits. Before Chen Yong could open his mouth, a person beside him interrupted and asked, County Magistrate Cheng, could it be that firecrackers are only found in your county? I have never heard of them anywhere else. They are indeed extraordinary. Just the sound alone is much louder than that of firecrackers. That's right. This item is only available in this county. If you want to take some back, this official will prepare for it. County Magistrate Cheng knew that the other side did not care if the news of the firecrackers spread. They were still counting on this to make money. The more people who knew about it, the better. However, he still did not say who it was. He only said that it was a businessman. He was afraid that these people would want to see it. After hearing what he said, Chen Yong and the others were also tempted. They were not doing it for festive occasions, but for other purposes. Chen Yong also spoke. County Magistrate Cheng, how much are these things worth? If they are too expensive, we can't accept them. It's a waste of money and manpower. Don't worry, sir. These firecrackers are cheap. The one we heard just now was 50,000 sounds. This county has prepared 200,000 sounds this year. We will set them off today. The 15th of this year will be a full moon. At that time, I hope all of you can enjoy the lanterns and enjoy with the people. County Magistrate Cheng replied. He still did not say how much the firecrackers were. He did not know how much the Zhongjia Zhuangzi wanted to sell them. He was afraid that if he set the price, they would not be able to sell them at a high price. Chen Yong and the others did not ask any more. If the county magistrate said that it was cheap, then it was cheap. If it was expensive, then it would be cheap. However, these people had set a high price for the firecrackers in their hearts. They thought that the 50,000 sounds they had just burned would cost at least a few taels of silver. Under the invitation of the restaurant owner, they went up to the 3rd floor. The tea was served first. Without them saying anything, the restaurant started to serve the dishes. First, 8 cold plates were served. The wine could be drunk once it was warm. Among them, there was a dish of cucumber mixed with shredded mushrooms. The main reason was that the restaurant could not find the golden mushroom. While they were eating, the hot dishes were served one by one. There were 3 dishes of cucumber alone. They were stir-fried dried bamboo shoots with cucumber, fried river snails with cucumber, fried egg with cucumber, and cucumber soup with cucumber. Apart from cucumber, there were also quite a lot of carrots. There were a total of 4 dishes, 2 of which were meat and 2 of which were vegetables. The rest of the dishes were made with dried vegetables. There was not a single meat dish on the table. This was what Zhong Xiaobao had instructed before Song Jinggong came. After the new year, everyone was only eating meat. No one wanted to continue eating. Only light dishes were delicious. In fact, this was also the case. Everyone sat at a few tables. Before the hot dishes were served, the first thing they ate was the cucumber. After a mouthful of cucumber and shredded mushrooms, the cucumber was smooth and refreshing. There was a delicate fragrance in the mouth. It was better than the cucumber they ate. This was freshly picked cucumber. When the hot dishes and carrots were served, everyone was stunned. None of them dared to eat. What was this? County Magistrate Cheng had no choice but to introduce them. My lords, this is called carrots. It is the food of the Fan gang. It tastes good and is good for the body. I still have some left. My lords can take some back to taste. After that, County Magistrate Cheng ate a piece of carrot first to prove that there was nothing wrong with it. With him taking the lead, the others were naturally relieved. One by one, they began to eat freely. Seeing that they were about to be unable to eat anymore, Another waiter removed the other dishes and replaced them with some dried fruits. Most importantly, there was also a large plate of sliced cucumber strips. In front of everyone was a plate with something that smelled fresh on it. County Magistrate Cheng had never seen this thing before. He glanced at the waiter. This waiter was also smart. He whispered in County Magistrate Cheng's ear, "This was brought by Child Song just now. It is called shrimp sauce. My lords, dip it into the cucumber and eat it. In a while, the chili sauce will be served. There are 2 kinds of sauces and 2 flavors." "Okay." County Magistrate Cheng nodded. He was satisfied with the waiter's cleverness. When the waiter left, he picked up a cucumber and dipped it into the plate in front of him. When he raised it to his mouth, he said, "My lords, this is shrimp sauce. It is specially dipped into auspicious cucumber. It is fresh and delicious. Why don't you try it?" After someone demonstrated, the others followed suit. It was not that they were afraid of being poisoned, but they were afraid that they did not know how to eat it and would be seen as a joke. When they ate it one by one, they found that it was indeed different. The taste was good. Those who were originally full had an appetite again. They sipped the wine and ate at the same time, saying something that would not cause any conflict between them. This was also arranged by Zhong Xiaobao. In order to stall them, Zhong Xiaobao had taken all the details into consideration. The alcohol content of the wine here was not high, but it took up a lot of space. After drinking it, their stomachs were full. In fact, they were not full at all. In this case, they had to give them time to digest and expel the water. Good, this auspicious shrimp sauce is delicious. It doesn't smell fishy just by smelling it. But after dipping it into the auspicious sauce, a salty and fishy smell will come out as soon as it enters the mouth. This feeling will disappear in a flash, and then it will be refreshing and delicious. It is better than just smelling the shrimp sauce. What do you think? After one person finished eating the cucumber with shrimp sauce, he praised it. The others only thought that it was delicious, but after hearing what he said, they all agreed. Then the chili sauce was served. This chili sauce was also brought by Song Jinggong. It was specially made and was more spicy. Once it was spicy, it felt good. A large plate of cucumber was served, but it still did not last long and was eaten up. They also drank a lot of wine. The water could be expelled. On the 15th day of the first lunar month, some children felt that time was passing too slowly. Some felt that it was too fast. Seeing that it was Yusha, Zhongwang clan personally led a group of people outside. These people all had a lot of things in their hands. Recommend a book. Wang Daoji's Model Hegemony. A very good book. Don't give it to him. Give it to me. Chapter 68. The people in Zhongwang and Zhuangzi were busy with their own matters. Just like how they were unaware of the Zhong family's matters, the people in the Zhong family's courtyard were also unaware of the matters that they were busy with. The Zhongwang clan led her people and prepared to go to the house of the oldest Zhong Sheng, who was the closest to them. Old Zhong Sheng was 65 years old today. He had a son and 2 daughters at home. His wife passed away early, and he had a 9-year-old grandson. The Zhongwang clan wanted to go to his house first to give him the things he wanted. However, before she could reach the house, a group of people appeared in front of her. The Zhongwang clan was not afraid. It was not easy to hurt her in Zhangjia Zhuangzi. She waited for the group of people in front of her to come closer. When they saw who it was, the people around the Zhongwang clan heaved a sigh of relief. Just now, they almost shouted at the whole of Zhuangzi. As long as they shouted, there would be people coming to help. The person in front of them was actually the person that the Zhongwang clan wanted to see first, Zhong Sheng. There were many people behind him, and each of them was holding a lantern. It looked like there were many of them. The lanterns were all covered with red paper. When the 2 parties met, before the Zhongwang clan could say that she wanted to go to Zhong Sheng's house, old Zhong Sheng waved his hand, and the people behind him all came forward with lanterns. "Madam, where are you going?" Zhong Sheng asked with a hunched back. "I'm going to visit the village. I originally wanted to go to Uncle Zhong's house first." "Uncle Zhong, what are you?" The Zhongwang clan was confused. Why were all these people gathered together? Madam, we are all indebted to the main family, and we don't have much money to repay them. It's the 15th day of the first lunar month, and we have 106 people in Zhuangzi who do some work, so each of us made a lantern for the main family. I made 2 more lanterns, so the total is 108 yuan. It's auspicious, and it's just the right time to give it to the main family. Hearing this, Zhong Wangsha stood there and did not speak for a long time. It was not until the people next to her softly called her that she took a deep breath and said, "Uncle Zhong, it just so happens that my yard still lacks lanterns. Thank you, fellow villagers. The things you gave to the village have been accepted by the village. Now, I also want to give something to the villagers." As the Zhongwang clan spoke, she waved her hand, and the people in the yard came forward with the items in their hands. She gave the items to the 100 people first, and then the rest of them went to each house to deliver. "Uncle Zhong, these are the clothes and shoes for your family of 6. This is a chicken, and I picked the biggest one for you. These are the lanterns and candles, and these are the yuanxiao and firecrackers. There are so many things, and you can't carry them all. Let us deliver them to you." This time, Xiao Hong followed the madam out and asked the people who were pushing the wheelbarrow to come forward and give the items to Zhong Sheng. After a while, they realized that Zhong Sheng couldn't carry them all, even if the lanterns were made of foldable silk cloth. These things, madam, are you giving these things to me?" Zhong Sheng had lived for so many years, and he was quite knowledgeable. When he saw the people in the main house carrying things and pushing the wheelbarrow, and the things piled up on the wheelbarrow like a small mountain, he immediately understood. It's not a gift. It's a festival, and everyone wants to be happy. At the bridge, there will be a lion dance and some things will be sold. Those things are cheap, and when the time comes, everyone will go and watch the show. Originally, I wanted to tell them one by one. When the time came, everyone in the 2 Zhuangzi villages came out. Each family carried a silk lantern, and everyone was wearing new clothes. As long as it was a woman, no matter if it was a child or an old lady, they all wore light green clothes, while the men wore grey. The servants of the 2 courtyards also changed their clothes. The women were all dressed in red, while the men were all dressed in white. It was very eye-catching. Before the villagers arrived at the bridge, the torches buried in the Zhuangzi villages were all lit up. The 2 Zhuangzi villages were brightly lit, and together with the full moon in the sky, they shone like stars. Some of the villagers even counted the number of torches. When they finally finished counting, they found that the torches were the total number of torches in the 2 Zhuangzi villages, 790 torches. When these people arrived at the bridge, they saw that the bridge was also brightly lit, dancing with the wind. Many stalls were set up there, and the lion dancers were already prepared. This made the place lively. The villagers in new clothes looked around and picked what they needed. The sound of firecrackers could be heard. These firecrackers were paid for by Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. They were distributed to each family, and they would set them off when they returned home. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Zhuangzi villages were making such a big commotion on the other side of the river, so it was impossible for the Ge village's Zhuangzi village not to know. Those people also wanted to come out at night with their lanterns, but they saw that the other side of the river was as bright as day, and the sound of gongs and drums was non-stop. Ge village's people curiously walked towards the bridge. When they arrived, they did not know what to say. Lion dance. There was actually lion dance. How many years had it been since they last saw it? When they looked at the people on the 2 Zhuangzi villages, they were actually wearing the same clothes, and the lanterns were made of silk. Xiao-san, do you see that? That is the Zhuangzi of the Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Zhuangzi. It seems that other than the gifts given by the 2 families during the new year, they also gave them the same gifts on the 15th. New clothes, new shoes, silk lanterns, and torches on the Zhuangzi. Sigh tilde. A person said to the child next to him, and in the end, he could only sigh. Xiao-san nodded obediently. I know. Their lives are better than ours. Isn't Saigo just over there? Other families can just buy it with money. When will we be able to do the same on the Zhuangzi? The others looked at the other end of the bridge enviously. They only looked, but did not dare to go over. It could be said that they had mixed feelings. Wu family's boy, 7th aunt, since you are all here, hurry up and come over. I have set up a market here. The things are cheap. These days, we are not making money. Just buy whatever you like. There is also a lion dance. At this time, Sai Go of the Ge family came out. He was wearing white silk clothes and a stone crown on his head. His waist was not as bent as before. From his face, one could see that he was a bit chubbier. His smile never changed. He pulled a few people's hands and led them to the other side of the bridge while talking. These people did not want to go over, but they could not resist the lively atmosphere and Sai Go's enthusiasm. They followed Sai Go to the other side of the bridge. After a while, they got used to it. They watched the various performances while looking at the stalls to see if there was anything they wanted. They randomly picked up an item and asked. The price was really too low. With someone taking the lead, the other people of the Ge family also came over and looked around. Suddenly, they saw the heads of the Zhong Xiaobao and Wang family all come out. They were laughing and laughing with the other villagers. Chapter 69. He watched as Sai Go poured him a bowl of wine and toasted him. Shu Sai followed suit and downed half of the wine in one gulp. After the wine entered his stomach, he finally woke up. He remembered that his master was still waiting for him, so he didn't dare to eat the food on the table. He stood up and prepared to leave, but after hesitating for a moment, he turned back and downed half of the wine in the bowl before running away. During the entire process, Dog 4 didn't say a word. However, Dog 4 could see gratitude and envy in Dog 2's eyes. He knew Dog 4. When they were begging and wandering together, the only difference was that he had signed a land deed, while Dog 2 had signed a life deed. After some thought, Fourth Hound decided to go to Zhong Xiaobao's place. When he saw the young master and the young lady obediently keeping their family company, he was a little scared and didn't dare to approach them. After a moment of absent-mindedness, he seemed to see the look in Ergo's eyes when he left again. He turned around, drank another bowl of wine, and once again went to the main house. With a plop sound, Shu Sai didn't say anything and knelt down in front of Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. Shu Sai, what happened to you? Did you drink too much? If you can't drink, then drink less. Remember not to drink so much in the future. It's a waste of time. Huzi, help him up. Zhong Xiaobao was about to say to his parents, thousands of flowers blossom in the night of the east wind. Thousands of trees. Thousands of people looking for it. When he was interrupted by Shu Sai. He looked at Shu Sai who was kneeling in front of him and couldn't understand what was wrong with him. He thought that he might have drunk too much. It wasn't strange for drunk people to do anything, so there was no need to blame them. Young master, I didn't drink too much. Shu Sai said as he blocked Huzi who was helping him up. I know. That's what people usually say when they drink too much. Which mental patient would say that they are not in good spirits? Zhong Xiaobao muttered in a low voice. Wang Huan knew what Zhong Xiaobao was saying from his lips. She glanced over and said to Shu Sai, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't be like this. Today is the 15th day of the first lunar month. Let's have some fun together. Thank you, young lady. This little one has something to ask of the young master and young lady. Shu Sai felt that he was being a little too unreasonable, but he had to say it. What's the matter? Don't be anxious. Speak slowly. Get up first. Huzi, can't you even help a person up? Don't you agree, Xiaobao? Wang Huan didn't like others to treat her this way. She asked about Huzi and then asked Zhong Xiaobao. Yes. Get up and speak. Everyone is happy today. You, Shu Sai, are doing things for Zhuangzi. Your matter is Zhuangzi's matter. Hurry up and get up. Zhong Xiaobao also spoke. Huzi couldn't keep his face anymore. He used his hands to lift Shu Sai up. Huzi was a guard, so Shu Sai wasn't a match for him at all. Speak. What happened? Did you lose money or were you cheated? Forget it if you lost money. Remember this lesson in the future. If you are cheated, Tell me who cheated you and I will make him regret it for the rest of his life. Zhong Xiaobao felt that Shu Sai seemed to have suffered some kind of psychological damage. Words came out of his mouth one by one. His words were only understood by his family and the people in the courtyard. The person who believed in these words the most was Wang Huan. If someone really cheated Shu Sai, he should pray to all the gods in the east and west. Shu Sai calmed down a little. When he heard the little lord's words, he lowered his head and said, "Little lord, I beg of you. Please get Ji Zhuang's Ergo out. I know Ergo. He is obedient, sensible, and loyal. When I was begging for food, Ergo helped me a lot." Ge family? Ergo. Shu Sai, who are you talking about? Wang Huan was puzzled. Shu Sai didn't come here for her. Replying to the little miss, it's a person who signed a death contract with the Ge family. He came over just now. This little one invited him to drink, but he left in a hurry. This little one knows that he came from the Ge family to see the situation here. Maybe it was because Shu Sai and Ergo had been together for a long time and understood each other. When Ergo came, Shu Sai knew why he came. Wang Huan nodded and didn't say anything. She looked at Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao also didn't know how to get a death contract. He looked at Shu Sai and asked, "How do you get your brother out?" Shu Sai hesitated for a while, but he didn't dare to open his mouth. At this time, Jiang Wang clan, who was holding Zhong Xiaobao, said, "If you want to redeem the person who signed the death contract, you first have to compensate him for all the expenses he spent in that place. You also have to give him the money he earned from selling himself. It's calculated on a monthly basis." "Oh, thank you, mother. So it's like this. If it can be solved with money, then it's simple. Shu Sai, how much does it cost to get your brother Ergo out?" Zhong Xiaobao thought that it would be troublesome, but he didn't expect that it could be solved with money. Wang Huan was also not anxious. She knew what kind of person Zhong Xiaobao was. As long as it was a problem that could be solved with money, it was not a problem. Shu Sai was worried about the money. It was too much. When he heard the young master's question, he cowardly replied, "About 70 to 80 taels of silver. At that time, there were 3 of us. One of us died of illness. Ergo wanted to bury his brother, so he sold himself. It might be more than that. Young master, I am willing to sign a death contract with you. I don't want a single copper coin. You can write as much as you want on the death contract." As Shu Sai spoke, he actually started to cry. "Why are you crying?" They were all wearing new clothes, and the cloth was much better than what he was wearing. It was a gift from the head of the family, and it was tailor-made. Ji Yingxi was stunned. With the help of the surrounding lights, he saw the expression in Wu family's Xiao San's eyes. He originally wanted to scold him, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He looked at the villagers of the Zhong family and Wang family. Their clean and tidy clothes were eye-catching. Then he looked at the lanterns made of silk cloth. There was an invisible kind of oppressive aura. When he compared his own villagers to these people, the difference was not just a little bit. "Village head Ge, I didn't expect you to have the time to come here. How is it? This market is not bad, right? In a few days, when the goods are ready, it will be convenient for the surrounding Zhuangzi to come here to buy and sell things. At that time, it will be even more lively." Just as Ji Yingxi was comparing, a voice suddenly sounded. Ji Yingxi looked carefully. It was the head of the Wang family in Zhuangzi. He couldn't treat him like how he treated Sai Go, so he forced a smile. "So it's village head Wang. Village head Wang and village head Zhong are very generous. I heard that this time, the 2 villages of Zhuangzi received a lot of things from you. But if you want to collect taxes in this market, you have to report it to the government. It's not easy to deal with the government. Collect taxes? What taxes?" Father Wang was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled. Village head Ge misunderstood. "I don't want to collect any taxes. With this market, it will be more convenient for everyone to buy and sell things. I also want to build a few houses here and set up some sheds. When the time comes, we can cook some food. People who come from afar can also rest here. The money earned from these things can be used to repair the surrounding areas. When summer comes, when there is a lot of rain, the river will flood. We can use this money to repair it. Also, the roads are the same. Village head GE, why don't you join in? Oh, since village head Wang has plans, then let's do it first. My road is still okay, so I'm not in a hurry. Village head Wang also found a lion dancer for the villagers. In total, you must have spent a lot of money, right? There are many torches in the village, so it will be easy to go back at night. Ji Yingxi didn't want to work with the two Zhuangzi. He would have to listen to them when the time comes. He tactfully refused and talked about other things. Father Wang didn't continue to talk about this matter. He followed Ji Yingxi's words and said, "It didn't cost much, only 180 taels of silver. It has been a year, and it hasn't been easy for the villagers. Let's be happy together. The torches are still okay. There are 790 torches, no more, no less. It's just the number of people from the Zhong family and Wang family. When the moon is full, people should be together. When the stars are dark, let the torches that represent the people from the Zhong family and Zhuangzi family light up the night sky together." After these words were said, the surrounding villagers who heard it quietened down. Some of the villagers from the Zhong family and Wang family felt a lump in their throat, and their eyes turned red. So this was the meaning of the torches. The main family was treating them as family. Yes, together. The gazes of the people from the GE family's manner dimmed. In the past, everyone was the same and it was nothing much. Now that the Zhong and Wang families' manners were rich, they started to treat the villagers better. They celebrated the 15th day of the month together, laughed together, and lit up the night sky together. If it were them, they would be content with their lives. Ji Yingxi was also silent. He didn't have the courage to call the villagers from his village back. He was afraid that if he did, the villagers wouldn't have the energy for this year's spring planting. He felt that he was inferior to village Wang, and the bustle here seemed to be far away from him. He thought for a while and said, "Village Wang, your village is really good. I'm also happy. You are busy. I still have things to do at home, so I'll take my leave first." After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for the other party to say anything and turned to leave. There was a trace of sadness between his eyebrows. But before he reached the bridge, Ergu came looking for him. "Master, I have something to discuss with you." "Ergu, where did you go? What is it? Say it." Ji Yingxi was not in the mood to scold Ergu, so his voice was much lower. "Master, this lowly one wants to redeem myself." Just now, this lowly one ran back from a small path and asked the housekeeper. The housekeeper said that this lowly one needs to take out 92 taels of silver. "Do you agree?" Ergo asked carefully. Ji Yingxi was scared. At the same time, he knew why he couldn't find Ergu. He stared at Ergu and said, "Yes, the housekeeper said so. It's definitely true. Do you have 92 taels of silver?" Ji Yingxi smiled as he said this. "Is Ergu sick? It's a death contract." He dared to ask for 92 taels of silver. Ergu's face was full of joy. He took out a package from his bulging arms. After thinking for a while, he ran away again without even saying goodbye. This made Ji Yingxi, who wanted to leave, stay and wait for him. After a while, Ergo ran back, opened the package, and held it in front of Ji Yingxi. "Master, here are 92 taels of silver. Take a look. If you count correctly, can you return the deed to me?" Ji Yingxi looked at the heavy grey silver and his eyes widened. He only came back to his senses when Ergu asked again. "Ergu, where did you get the money?" "Saigo gave it to me. Saigo and I have been together since we were young. He is now in charge of the market of the Zhong family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi. He wants me to go and help." "Then where did he get the money?" "The master gave it to me. I heard Saigo say that he went to the master of the Zhong family and asked for 100 taels of silver. The master said, 'Yes, Saigo is worth it. He has a good eye for money. 100 taels of silver is not much.' I also think so. This market was built by Saigo in just a few days. Master, Take this money and return my contract to me. I will work hard here in the future. I will not lose face for you. Saigo asked me to help him set the price. Ergu said and pushed the silver forward. He had just exchanged 10 taels of silver for a 2 taels of silver. Who knew that the master would give him the remaining 8 taels of silver? You said that Saigo built the market by himself and set the price. Good, good, good. Don't blame others but me. 100 taels of silver. It's worth it. It's really worth it. It's such a big stall. No wonder there is a price. Why didn't I think Saigo was so capable? He was let go for just 1 tael of silver. Ji Yingxi's eyes were full of confusion. His voice became softer and softer as he spoke. He lowered his head and bent his back. He knew how much work was needed to run such a big stall. He also knew how much benefit the Zhong family and the Wang family could get from setting the price. These were all done by Saigo, who he used to look down on. Forget it. Let's go. Let's all go. Ergu, come back with me. I will give you the contract. If there is a chance in the future, take care of Ji Zhuang's family. Ji Yingxi felt so tired that he didn't even want to walk. He told Ergu and walked back step by step. Otherwise, County Magistrate Cheng would definitely not drink it. Since it was a toast from the people, they should drink it. Therefore, at this time, 3 bowls of wine were poured into their stomachs. Seeing that it was about time, County Magistrate Cheng let them go. He suggested that they return to the Yamen to enjoy the moon or rest. The group of people turned around as if they had been granted amnesty. When they returned to the Yamen, they all declined County Magistrate Cheng's invitation to drink and enjoy the moon. They went back to their rooms and fell asleep. The people in the Yamen followed County Magistrate Cheng's instructions and lit a lot of incense in each person's room. The doors and windows were tightly shut. These people who had drunk too much were not sleeping well. Their stomachs were churning. When the incense was lit, it did not take long for them to start vomiting. Once they started vomiting, they could not control it. Someone helped them drink water. After drinking, they vomited again. Even after they had vomited everything in their stomachs, they were still vomiting. County Magistrate Cheng was not feeling well either. When he returned, he also vomited everything. However, after vomiting, he did not lie down immediately. He had someone boil a bucket of hot water and soak in it. Someone even rubbed his head. He drank the hot soup mouthful by mouthful. After sweating and urinating a few times, he finally felt better. Only then did he fall asleep while others massaged his back and legs. From time to time, someone would wipe his face with a warm towel. On the 16th day of the first month, County Magistrate Cheng woke up in the morning. He shook his head but did not feel a headache. He drank some millet porridge, ate some cucumber pickles, and 2 meat buns. Knowing that Chen Yong and the others were still unconscious, he went back to sleep for an hour. At noon, he ordered someone to prepare the carriage and personally went to wake them up one by one. After a night of hangover and starvation, these people from the provincial center felt as if their heads were about to split open when they opened their eyes. They wiped their faces with hot towels and followed County Magistrate Cheng to the Waterview Pavilion in a daze. After getting off the carriage and seeing this place, they knew that it was time to eat. Originally, they did not want to eat, but they could not resist the hunger. They also knew that the more they did not eat, the more uncomfortable they would feel. As they waited for the dishes to be served, they realized that today they were eating a chicken banquet. All 16 dishes were chicken cooked in various ways. County Magistrate Cheng urged them to drink again. He had recovered. This time, they ate less. Originally, they did not want to drink anymore. However, they could not resist the situation and drank bit by bit. When they ate the chicken, they realized that it was sweet and greasy. They still hadn't recovered from yesterday's drunkenness. A few of them drank more as they drank. They ate the dishes and drank the wine. They even looked at the others and offered a toast to those who drank less. The meal lasted for nearly 4 hours. Other than the people in the Yamen who were accompanying them, everyone else collapsed. County Magistrate Cheng did not send them to the Yamen. Instead, he put them on the carriage and drove them to the real Luoshui River. The ice there had almost melted and a boat had been prepared. Sitting in the carriage and bumping, these people continued to vomit. After tossing and turning like this until midnight, they finally reached the river. One by one, they were dragged onto the boat and the night passed. Song Jinggong also followed them. He memorized the poem that the young master had written for him and prepared to start another round of hospitality tomorrow. On the 20th of the first lunar month, the spring thunder roared and the first spring rain fell. It's been 5 days. It seems that County Magistrate Cheng has delayed those people. In a few days, they should leave, right? Wang Huan listened to the sound of rain hitting the window and said in a relaxed manner. Almost. Didn't the news say that the people there are drunk every day? Song Jinggong should be famous now. That's good. In the future, when he has a reputation, it will be easier to do things. The rain outside is not heavy. Maybe there will be a drought here. When it stops, we should go out and see if there is a suitable place to dig holes in Zhuangzi and store more water. This year, the east of Taihang Mountains and Henan are full of locusts and drought. It will be troublesome if we are like that. Zhong Xiaobao was still worried. That was what was written in the history books. But who could guarantee that the people who wrote it really wrote it out? The real situation could only be known by experiencing it for oneself. Well, even if it is not a drought, we can keep some water to store things. I have a map here. I drew it according to what they said. I don't know if it is accurate or not. When the weather is warm, you can walk around Zhuangzi with me. I am good at drawing. Come and take a look. Wang Huan said and took out her map. She had drawn it for the purpose of inserting a torch. She looked at it and pointed at a place. Here it is. My house is not far from the river. We can dig a ditch and draw it there. Let's take advantage of the melting snow. Zhong Xiaobao looked at the side and nodded. It was settled. As for whether it was suitable, he had to go there personally to see it. On the 25th of the first lunar month, the weather was clear and the spring breeze was gentle. The district magistrate, Cheng Lingxiang, was still waving his hand at the group that was moving away. He only put down his hand when they were out of sight. Chapter 72. On both sides of the river, new buds sprouted, and flowers bloomed on a small path. The ice and snow slowly disappeared, and the spring breeze gently brushed across the cheeks. The floating clouds flipped, and the sun shone high. The running water set off the cliffs several times. Yesterday, it rained. Tomorrow, it was busy. After 2 consecutive rains, the people of Tuqiao village finally breathed a sigh of relief. From the end of the year until now, if it wasn't for the rain last night, there wouldn't have been enough water before the spring plowing. In the Zhong family's courtyard, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan looked at the villagers outside who were busy preparing for the spring plowing. They looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Drought. It looks like there will be a drought this year. Fortunately, we dug a pond 2 days ago, so we can hold on for a while. Should the chickens, ducks, and geese be sent there now? If we really go there, we will have to eat a lot of food along the way. Wang Huan held half a steamed bun in her hand and said to Zhong Xiaobao worriedly. Zhong Xiaobao held a bowl of milk and took a sip unhurriedly. He then said, "There's no rush. Wait for it to get bigger. It's just a drought, and the grasshoppers haven't come out yet. Even if we want to go, we can't let our 2 Zhuangzi take the lead. Let's go to Sanshui City first to find County Magistrate Cheng. This is also a merit, and we can also inquire about the matter of the investigation of the fields." That's good. The plows were sent the day before yesterday. Pomegranate, arrange for people to send them to our 2 villages. Also, arrange for the cows and horses that were collected. Do it like last year's autumn harvest. Wang Huan responded to Zhong Xiaobao and turned to give orders to Pomegranate. Pomegranate responded and turned to leave. She naturally knew what the 2 young masters were talking about last year's autumn harvest. The 2 Zhuangzi villagers didn't harvest their own fields separately, but worked together to harvest all the fields of the 2 villages at the same time. This was the spring plowing. In addition to this, the servants in the two villages also had to help. Usually, it was the men who were sent out. He walked to the place where the young master's curved plough was placed. He called out, and two male servants immediately came over. Find a cart to transport the things that young master and young lady Tsaijuan made, and send them to the manor with me. As the young master's maidservant, Pomegranate also put on airs. As the two of them prepared the carriage, they curiously looked at the pile of things. It looked like a plough, but they had never seen one before. When the carriage arrived, one of them couldn't help but ask, "Sister Pomegranate, what is this thing? Could it be used for ploughing?" "Yes." Pomegranate snorted with her nose and then said, "That is natural." The young master felt that the ploughing process was a little slow, so he came up with a new plough that is several times faster than the previous one. In fact, Pomegranate didn't know whether this was true or not. She just had more confidence in the young master and his maidservant. Anything that the young master and his maidservant made was good. The two male servants nodded as well. The position of the young master and young lady Cuckoo in their hearts had already reached a level that others could not compare to. If not for the two manners order to keep their mouths shut, they would have already bragged to others. One by one, the ploughs were carried onto the cart by the two of them. After filling up the cart, they rushed out. Shiliu sat on the shaft of the cart, her eyes looking forward. She guessed that this thing that the little Gongzi had named curved ploughs would be very useful. The male servant driving the cart turned his head and asked, "Sister Pomegranate, did the young master pay for this plough?" "Of course." Pomegranate replied with two words. "I think so too." Speaking of which, ever since the young master and Miss Cuckoo learned how to talk, the villagers' lives have been much better than other places. Perhaps there hasn't been such a master in the entire Tang Empire. Speaking of this, the two male servants were proud. The cart traveled on the muddy road. When it reached the fields, both wheels were covered in mud. The villagers were using the old plough to plough the fields. When they saw the cart and Pomegranate sitting on it, the people nearby thought that there was something to do in Zhuangzi. They immediately put down their work and went forward to welcome them. Before the villagers could ask, Pomegranate spoke first. "Fellow villagers, this is a newly made plough in Zhuangzi. Take a look and see if it's better than the one you're using now. Also, Zhuangzi has bought some cows and horses from outside. The master has instructed us to cultivate them together according to last year's autumn harvest." When the villagers heard that the cart had a new plough, they were all curious. In the past few months, every item that the master had brought out had brought them many benefits. This plough seemed to be of good quality. What made them the happiest were the last two things that Pomegranate mentioned. With cows and horses and a joint cultivation, it would be much easier. The spring harvest would be ahead of the other families. At that moment, these farmers called out to the other people who were still busy. Everyone rushed over and helped unload the new plough from the cart. Each and every one of them used their hands to gently touch it. In their hearts, they were all deeply moved. The main family had even thought of this. Some impatient people had already put the new plough on the cows. They were not used to the first few steps, but after a few more steps, they couldn't help but cheer. Look at this speed. It's amazing, simply amazing. Using this plough is several times faster than before. Chapter 73. Ji Yingxi heard the voice and looked at the person. He recognized him as the Wang family's housekeeper on Zhuangzi. He smiled and said, "Yes, housekeeper Wang is busy. It's fine. I'm just walking around." He was about to walk closer when Steward Wang took a step to the side and stood in front of Ji Yingxi. He said, "Brother Ji Yingxi. Village head Ji, the fields are muddy during spring ploughing. Why don't you walk around the river? The scenery there is much better than here. Besides, the villagers have never seen such a scene before. If you walk over, they will be scared." Ji Yingxi saw this and could only stop. He smiled awkwardly. Seeing that housekeeper Wang wanted to follow him to the river, he hesitated for a moment and followed housekeeper Wang. "Housekeeper Wang, your village on Zhuangzi is much faster than mine. I don't see more people than before. What method did you use on Zhuangzi? Sigh. It's not easy for the Ji family to be Zhuangzi's villagers. Ji Yingxi asked as he walked. Whenever he spoke, he would sigh. He wanted to find out something. Housekeeper Wang knew what Ji Yingxi wanted to know, but he would never tell him. How could he let outsiders know what the young master and young lady did? He continued Ji Yingxi's words. It's not just the Wang family's farmstead, the Zhong family's farmstead is also like this. There's no good way, but if there's one, then there's one thing. Treat the farmstead better, and the farmstead will naturally work hard. Just like last night, the master will prepare some food and wine for the farmstead, and that will be enough. Ji Yingxi was a little embarrassed. Housekeeper Wang was clearly saying that he did not treat the villagers well, but he couldn't do anything. The Zhong family and Wang family were rich, but Ji Zhuang couldn't afford to give them. He also admitted that if he treated the villagers better, they would work harder. Especially the land that was not rented out, the master would take care of it. But if that was the case, he would not believe that the villagers could do as much work as usual. Well, the problem must be with the plough. Otherwise, why didn't housekeeper Wang let him take a look over there? Ji Yingxi thought about the plough and looked in that direction as he walked along the river. This time, he finally saw the difference. The plough on Zhuangzi was definitely not as fast as the one on this side. Steward Wang, is that really all? Is there anything else? Ji Yingxi couldn't care less if Steward Wang was happy to hear him asking about this matter. Steward Wang smiled and said, Village head Ji really has sharp eyes. To tell you the truth, there are indeed other differences. Apart from these, there is another thing. Since last summer, the two Zhuangzi people have been buying and exchanging cows and horses. Look, there are no longer any human-drawn ploughs in Zhuangzi. Ji Yingxi nodded and stopped talking about this matter. He clearly knew that the problem lay with Li. Since he did not want to talk about it, he did not want to continue asking. He wanted to find a chance to clarify this matter. After a few casual words, he turned around and walked back. Steward Wang walked Ji Yingxi to the small bridge. Seeing Ji Yingxi gradually walking away, he heaved a sigh of relief and continued to watch. In the midst of the busy work, 10 days had passed. In these 10 days, the two Zhuangzi families had ploughed all the land. The Ji family next to them still had to work for another half a month before they could finish. This kind of speed made the people of the Ji family envious. This made the people of the two Zhuangzi families very confident. Some of the farmers saw that there was still a lot of time left. After some discussion, they found the master and told him that they would first fertilize the land, let it dry for 2 days, and then plough the land again. Since the farmers were willing to work more, the master would of course not stop them. It was just a matter of making more food for the farmers. This winter, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan had earned a lot of money. Just a little bit of it would be enough. Pomegranate, dig out the earthworms and change the place. The soil where the earthworms used to be and the rotting things above them, put them into the ground with the manure. Wait a minute, let's not do this first. First, let Xiao Hong chase the chickens into the ground. After turning over the ground, many pupae are exposed. Let the chickens eat them. Zhong Xiaobao instructed Pomegranate, but there was a trace of sadness on his face. After hearing this, Pomegranate left. Wang Huan sighed at the side. It's been so many days. Why is there still no news from Erniu? It's fine if we can't get the rice stone. We can't let anything happen to him. That's right. The communication here is really bad, and the road is not easy to travel. It takes a long time to go there. In the future, we really need to secretly recruit more servants. If someone is far away, we can send them out to follow him. These days, the Ji family's Zhuangzi has been constantly sending people over. They are either preparing to peak or trying to find out from our farmers. While Zhong Xiaobao was worried about Erniu, he was also a little dissatisfied with the Ji family's Zhuangzi. However, he couldn't say anything. Who didn't want to live a good life? However, this kind of technical thing couldn't be casually taken out. Don't worry. The farmers have already told them. No one will say anything. Yesterday, didn't a farmer come back with 1 tael of silver and say that someone wanted to bribe him? The person who gave him the money was a farmer from the Ge family. There's no need to ask. Other than Ji Yingxi, there's no one else. Wang Huan didn't care. She was very satisfied with the person who came over yesterday. Zhong Xiaobao shook his head. After thinking for a moment, he said, "The secret of this curved plough can't be kept." Wu family's Xiao San, it looks like you are doing well this year. When autumn comes, there will definitely be a good harvest. I didn't expect you to plough so much land in just a few days. When Erniu passed by a field, he shouted at the people working there. Wu Xiao San was pulling the plough. When he heard the voice, he looked over. When he saw that it was Erniu, he thought that he did it on purpose. Later, he saw that Erniu seemed to have come back from outside. Only then did he understand that Erniu did not know about his work on Zhuangzi. He straightened his back and shouted at Erniu. "Erniu, stop talking. Why are you so fast? Go back to your Zhuangzi and have a look. Yesterday, all the land was ploughed. Looking at the situation, we might have to plough again with manure. There is no comparison. There is no comparison." "Xiao San, really? You are not lying to me?" When Erniu heard this, he was happy and asked again. Wu Xiao San still had to work. Ji Zhuang did not have so many cows and horses for them to use. He nodded as a confirmation and bent down to continue ploughing forward. At this time, Enyo wished that he could grow wings and fly back. He urged them again. When the motorcade arrived at the small bridge, he stood on the carriage and looked over there. Wasn't that right? The fields had been ploughed, and there were many chickens pecking at things in the fields. This must be the young master's idea. Good, the insects in the field are finished. Erniu said to the people who went out with him. The two people nodded in agreement and were happy. If they really ploughed again with manure, they could forget about the autumn harvest. As soon as the caravan crossed the small bridge, Erniu could not help but shout, "I am back. Quickly find someone to help move the stones. This is the last day of the week for this book. A new week is coming. This book will continue to be on the list. Tomorrow, it will be 2 chapters. If it is not on the list, it will be 8 chapters. Chapter 74. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were the happiest about Erniu's return. When they heard the announcement coming from outside, they ran out hand in hand. When they reached the gate of the outermost courtyard, Erniu was surrounded by people. The curious villagers kept asking Erniu where the 3 of them went. What was so strange about them? When Erniu left, other than a few people in Zhuangzi, no one else knew. Erniu, who was anxious to see the little lord, didn't say anything. He walked faster and faster until he reached the gate of the main house. When he saw the little lord and Cuckoo coming out to greet him, he shouted again, "Little lord, I'm back." It's good that you're back. Don't say anything. Come in and rest. Zhong Xiaowu and Zhong Xiaoliu, don't stand outside. Get someone to help unload the things in the carriage. Just pile them up at the gate. Zhong Xiaobao saw that Erniu was so excited that he couldn't control his mouth. He was afraid that he would say something, so he quickly interrupted him and called him and the other 2 people to the courtyard. When the villagers saw that they had gone in, they did not disturb them. They turned around and helped to unload the stones from the cart. As they unloaded, they pondered. It seemed that Ernyo had been arranged by the master to do something. Why did he come back with so many stones? These stones didn't look good. They couldn't be used to build a house. Erniu didn't feel tired now. He stood in front of Zhong Xiaobao and asked excitedly, "Little lord, did you see that? I brought back the stones you wanted. Those are all stones. Little lord, what do you want those stones for?" Good job. Erniu, did you tell anyone about this? Zhong Xiaobao had seen the stone just now, and it was indeed a wheat rice stone. He was finally relieved. This year's production should be able to increase by a lot. He was also worried that this matter would be accidentally leaked by Ernyo and the other 2, so he asked while looking at the other 2. Ernyo shook his head and took the water handed over by Shiliu. He raised his head and drank the water in the bowl. He wiped his mouth with his sleeve and replied, "Young master, Don't worry. No one knows what the three of us want the stone for. We changed carriages several times along the way. The last carriage driver definitely doesn't know where the stone came from. Also, little lord, we spent all the money this time, but we didn't spend any money on the stones. We can just pick the stones and save a lot. Little lord, you and Cuckoo don't worry. We all know that little lord is going to use the stones for something big. We won't say anything, even if we die. As Ernyo spoke, Zhong Xiaowu and Zhong Xiaoliu also nodded at the side. They felt that it was an honor to be able to keep a secret for the young master. Good, good. You haven't eaten yet, right? The cucumber seedlings have been plucked. There are only a few cucumbers left. They will go bad tomorrow or the day after. It's time to eat. You will know the use of the stones in the future. Zhong Xiaobao looked at the three people's travel-worn appearance and sighed in his heart. They were all useful people. He quickly arranged for them to eat. When the three of them heard that there were still cucumbers to eat, their eyes lit up. There was nothing that made them miss more than the cucumbers from the farmstead in winter. Even though it was spring now, there were still not many vegetables to be had. On the contrary, the vegetables for the winter were almost finished. Seeing that there were cucumbers to eat, Ernyo suddenly thought of something. He reached into his chest and took out a paper bag. It was the size of a medium-sized bowl. He bent down and handed the paper bag to Zhong Xiaobao. He slowly opened the bag and revealed some grey things. Little lord, I bought this wood ear over there. Coincidentally, a family was preparing to dry it outside and I saw it. Chapter 75. Zhong Xiaobao didn't like to eat garlic, but Wang Huan liked to eat it. Later, the two of them found out that the people here all like to eat garlic. Some people even went to the restaurant and asked if there was any garlic. If there was, they would stay and eat it. If there wasn't, they would turn around and leave. During the new year, Wang Huan roasted some garlic. After roasting it, it was soft and slightly spicy in the mouth, but it was more of a delicate fragrance. For the sake of health, Zhong Xiaobao also ate some garlic under Wang Huan's persuasion. After eating it, he found that he still didn't like to eat it. Zhong Xiaobao felt much better about the garlic sprouts. He was willing to eat fried garlic sprouts, boil soup, and even make some raw ones to grind his teeth. Under Wang Huan's suggestion, the two of them came to the small courtyard at the back. There was a place covered with cloth. The cloth was sent to protect auspicious sign last time. They didn't throw it away after they used it. They asked Song Jinggong to bring it back. It just so happened that they could continue to use it. This was the place to plant garlic. The garlic was peeled off and not planted in the soil. Instead, it was placed in a shallow groove made of wooden planks. A little fine sand was placed under the groove, and the garlic was placed in a row. A blocking rod, which was the outer layer of the sorghum stalk, was used to pierce through it. Then, water was put in. A few days ago, the garlic sprouts were done. A stove was placed in the middle of the circle, and the garlic sprouts grew a lot in a day. Okay, they can eat it. 1/10 of it is enough for the farmers to drink soup at night. Add some eggs and more ginger, and it can also help to get rid of the cold. These people really don't want to live. The water is so cold, but they just mix it with fertilizer and plow back and forth in the field. If they don't take good care of themselves, they will be sick when they are old. Wang Huan touched the garlic sprouts with her hand and said with emotion. She was very satisfied with these farmers. When there was work to be done in the farmstead, they rushed to do it. Today, more than 6,000 chickens were let out, and the farmers followed behind them. When the chickens finished eating the eggs buried in the soil, the farmers immediately used some water and fertilizer to get them into the fields and continued plowing. Thinking of the chickens, Wang Huan felt very happy. Those chickens were finally able to eat something good. There was no need to worry that the eggs would not be discovered if they were buried in the soil. One by one, they used their claws to dig the soil. Not only were the chickens fed well, but there were also fewer eggs. The soil was also loosened, and each of them grew bigger than usual. In the winter, there were no insects to eat, and the earthworms were still breeding. These chickens ate the fish and shrimp that Pomegranate brought back, the powder from the bones, and some other coarse grains. It seemed that in another month, they would lay eggs much earlier than the usual 6 months. When the time came, the eggs would be given to cherries to choose from, and the chickens would be hatched for the farmers to raise. When autumn came, there would be no need to worry about eggs, and more chicken would appear on the table of the farmers. When Zhong Xiaobao heard Wang Huan's words, he fell into deep thought. After a while, he shook his head and said with a sigh, "It's a pity that we don't have the technology to deal with oil, and we can't find rubber trees here. Otherwise, we could make some water boots for them to wear, which would be very useful. When we eat tonight, we can tell them not to stop working on the Kang bed. At night, when they go back, they should use hot water to warm their feet. Ask someone to invite a doctor to take a look at them. If they are not in good health, they should be treated as soon as possible. Ian, I think it's okay. We can find 2 doctors and let them stay in Zhuangzi. One will be responsible for treating people, and the other will be responsible for treating animals. When the cows give birth, we can secretly raise them and not report it. When the time comes, we can eat beef." Wang Huan chimed in and made an extension of it. After the 2 finished their discussion, one of them took a small pair of scissors and began to cut the garlic sprouts. After a while, they cut out the vegetables that were going to be eaten today. They carried them out and asked the servants to send them to the kitchen. Next, they had to deal with the wheat rice stones. After calling Ernu and the other 2 who had finished eating, Zhong Xiaobao instructed, "Ernu, since the stones were brought back by you, then I'll leave them to you. Smash the stones for me, pick out the good ones, and pile the rest together. When you're done, tell us. Little young master, don't worry about this. We will definitely do it for you." Ernu nodded in agreement, even though he still did not understand why the stones were brought back. After Ernu and the other 2 left, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan began to exercise. Dusk was slowly approaching. The sun in the west hid under the mountains, leaving only the red clouds that filled the sky, changing with the wind. In a workshop in Sanshui County, Song Jingong and Zhu Shihu were waiting for the curved plows to be made one by one. When the quantity was almost enough, Song Jingong would go to the county yamen to find the county magistrate. This was a very important time. If they delivered the plows too early, they would not be able to make much money. If they delivered the plows too late, they would only be able to use them next year after the spring plowing. Hurry up. The more plows you can make, the more money you will get. If you can make 2,000 sets of plows before midnight today, this young master will treat you to supper tonight. Zhu Shihu shouted at the more than 200 people who were still busy. Among these people, there were blacksmiths and carpenters, all of whom he found from various places. The number of masters was small, and even these people's disciples were pulled in to do the work. This made the people who were plowing in the surrounding villages gnash their teeth in hatred. He pulled people over, and if other people's plows broke, they would not be able to find people to fix it. This was also an idea that Zhu Shihu thought was not bad. It was to make those farmers lack plows. Otherwise, who would he sell the plows to? Every time he thought of this matter, he would proudly tell Song Jingong about it. These craftsmen also knew what kind of person young Master Zhu was. Seeing that there was more money to be earned and that they could not offend this young master, all of them worked hard. They were very clear about what they were making. The apprentices only knew about the new plows, but they did not know how much better they were compared to the usual plows. It was just that one of the plows was curved, while the other was straight. However, the old craftsmen were not like this. They had made many things, so they could understand the benefits of new things with just a glance. When they were making the plows, they were still lamenting about who was so smart to make this kind of plows. When the plows were used, the farmers would have an easier time. These old craftsmen saw that their apprentices did not understand the benefits of the plows, so they explained to their apprentices as they worked. It could be considered as teaching their apprentices. They explained the structure of each place and what kind of use this arrangement would have. The disciples all opened their eyes wide as they listened. Their hands were not slow either. In the end, they all understood that the curved plow actually had so many benefits. They all began to worship the person who made this plow. Some could not even suppress the curiosity in their hearts and turned to ask Jushihu. If it was a normal day, Jushihu would definitely not answer this kind of question. However, Jushihu was very happy today as he had another business. When others asked, he would answer. However, no matter how he answered, he would not say Zhongjia Zhuangzi. This was what Song Jinggong reminded him. Of course, Jushihu did not know who made these things. When it was midnight, these craftsmen really finished 2,000 sets. Jushihu did not say anything and immediately ordered people to prepare wine and dishes. He wanted to properly entertain the craftsmen. At this time, Song Jinggong bid farewell and left. He brought another plough that was originally made to the yamen. He knocked on the door of the backyard and asked the gatekeeper to go in and report. The gatekeeper was dozing off. When he saw someone coming in the middle of the night, he wanted to refuse. However, when he saw that it was Song Jinggong, he did not say anything and ran to report. The magistrate had ordered that no matter what time this young master Song came, he was to be informed. When Song Jinggong entered the living room, County Magistrate Cheng Lingxiang had already put on his clothes and was sitting there waiting with his sleepy eyes open. Someone had also prepared tea for him. When he saw Song Jinggong dragging a heavy thing over, he yawned and asked curiously, "Zijin, why did you bring this thing here in the middle of the night? Come, sit down and drink some tea. It seems that Zijin has not slept yet." County Magistrate Cheng let Song Jinggong sit on a chair beside the table. Song Jinggong had taught him how to make this chair. Originally, he was either sitting on a bench or sitting on a cushion. It was far less comfortable than this chair. "Magistrate, your eyes are as sharp as torches. As soon as I arrived, I knew that I came for the thing in my hand. Magistrate, this is a type of plough used for farming. Under your guidance, the Zhuangzi farmer suddenly became enlightened. After a few days of pondering, he finally made the curved shaft plough that Magistrate wanted. After testing it in the field, the farmers all praised Magistrate for being awesome. At the request of the farmer, I brought one to Magistrate. Magistrate, take a look. Is there anything else that needs to be improved? Song Jinggong said a bunch of nonsense and then looked at County Magistrate Cheng with a smile. Chapter 76. County Magistrate Cheng looked at the plough and listened to Song Jinggong. At first, he was happy, but then he felt that his face was a little hot. In the end, he opened his mouth in surprise. After Song Jinggong finished speaking, County Magistrate Cheng recovered from his surprise and shock. He looked away from the plough and at Song Jinggong's face. "Zijin, did you say that?" "Or, sir, it was the farmers in Zhuangzi of the Zhong family and Wang family who said it. Sir, you are a good official. The farmers will remember it in their hearts," Song Jinggong said with certainty. County Magistrate Cheng understood immediately. That person was willing to give him the biggest credit. If the plough was really as Song Jinggong said, and with the auspicious sign last time, his position would be improved after the examination. As if he knew what he was thinking, Song Jinggong continued, "Sir, the spring ploughing is busy. What we need is time. Why don't you let me accompany you tomorrow morning to test the plough? We can make it early and give it to the farmers." "No, we can't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow will be one day later. We have to leave now. Servants, bring a carriage and find the nearest Zhuangzi to have a look." At this time, County Magistrate Cheng's mind was full of his future career. How could he waste one night in vain? He called the people in the mansion and turned to Song Jinggong and said, "Zijin, Zhongjia Zhuangzi, who cooperated with me, also made a big contribution this time. I don't know if there is anything I can help with. I will make the decision for the people." "Daren, speaking of difficulties, there is indeed one. I heard that the current emperor wants to take back all the farmland in the world. Sanshui County is close to the capital, so it is inevitable that the 100 households of the Zhong family's farmstead and the 1,000 mu of farmland will be taken back." Song Jinggong received the young master's order and told him everything. County Magistrate Cheng was in a dilemma and sighed. If that is the case, then the plough's contribution will be, "That's right, my lord, you have to take the first credit. Without my lord, there would be no curved yuan plough. Song Jingong affirmed again. County Magistrate Cheng was moved. If that Zhuangzi had taken all the credit, even if they found out that something had happened, it would be considered as nothing had happened. The Zhuyuan plough was a good thing for the country and the people. Perhaps not only would he not accept the original reward, but he would also be rewarded more. However, this great merit would be pushed to him. After thinking for a while, the carriage was ready. County Magistrate Cheng had no choice but to walk to the carriage with Song Jingong as he said to him, "Zijin, I don't have the ability to fake it. Do you know who the person on the carriage is? Prime Minister Yarou Chong. Even if I can hide it from the provincial governor, I can't hide it from that iron-faced Yarou Chong. Darren, there is no need to hide it. The villagers have all said that Darren only needs to help delay the time. For example, during the summer or autumn season, the investigation in the county has to be done first and foremost. Tuqiao village is located at a far distance away, and there is not enough manpower for the investigation, so it can only be done last. What do you think, Darren?" Song Jingong at the side was half a hint. County Magistrate Cheng nodded. He also felt that it was very easy to do this kind of thing. However, even if it was delayed until the winter, would Zhuangzi have a solution? Zijin, could it be that Zhuangzi has other plans? County Magistrate Cheng wanted to know what the two masters were hiding. Right now, he didn't just admire the expert in the manner. He really wanted to meet him, or even worship him as a disciple. He had taken out so many things without making things difficult for him at all. He had even given him merits in such a casual manner. They helped him so much and were so old. It was not too much to ask him to become their disciple. How many people's teachers could take care of their own students like the masters? Darren, I don't know what you are asking. Maybe during the summer or autumn season, I will know. Song Jingong did not know that County Magistrate Cheng had already thought of the two little ancestors in his family as old men and even had the idea of becoming their disciple. He shook his head and said, "Oh, that's good. I will handle the matter on Zhuangzi properly." County Magistrate Cheng saw that Song Jingong also did not know, so he did not ask any more. He was thinking about whether this curved plough was as good as he said. After traveling for 2 hours, they finally found a place on Zhuangzi. The people on the farm had already gone to bed. County Magistrate Cheng asked someone to call a farmer and said to him, "I have a new plough here. Why don't you try it?" The farmer was still sleeping when he was called. At first, he was a little unwilling. However, when he heard that the county magistrate had come personally, he quickly dressed and was brought here. When he heard that the county magistrate wanted him to try a new plough, he was puzzled but did not dare to ask too much. He just agreed. "Darren, since you want me to try it, I will try it." "Darren, should I wake up my child and let him pull the plough?" "No need. I have already prepared a horse for you. Put it on and use it." County Magistrate Cheng had already considered this when he came, so he brought an extra horse to follow behind. It was just right for him to use it now. The old man quickly put the plough on the horse and put it in the field. He urged the horse and the horse slowly moved forward. The old man who was used to using a straight plough was not used to it at first. However, after 2 steps, the speed became faster and faster. He shouted happily as he ploughed. "It's so fast. It's so fast. It's so fast. It's so good." When they knew that the county magistrate had personally come and brought a very useful new plough, they were envious of the bald old man and were also thinking about whether they should get a new plough. County Magistrate Cheng told everyone where to buy a new plough on the spot. He also told them the approximate price. After encouraging them, he got on the carriage and left. The villagers spontaneously followed behind to see him off. After walking for 5 or 6 li, they could not keep up with the slow carriage. They stopped and watched the carriage go away. This feeling is really good. County Magistrate Cheng leaned against the carriage and thought about the words of the people just now. He also thought about the long journey of seeing him off. He sighed with emotion. Song Jingong also heard it, but did not say anything. At this time, It was better to let the county magistrate feel the happiness of the people. It took him 2 hours to leave and 3 hours to return. The sky was beginning to brighten. Those who had woken up early to do business also began to appear on the streets. County Magistrate Cheng Lingxiang had just gotten off the carriage with a happy mood when someone from the Yamen came to report, "Sir, you are back. Just now, the village chief of Tuqiao village came and said that he has something important to tell you." The village chief also came with him and is now waiting in the hall. Because I had to maintain a kind of passion after writing, I did not see some of the wrong words. If anyone saw them, tell me and I will correct them together tonight. Remember which chapter. Thank you. Old Feng and I wanted to see the person in charge of Zhuangzi. Who would have thought that no one would come out even after we asked them to call? They insisted that we should wait until tomorrow. Old Feng was afraid that a long night would cause trouble. At that time, they would not admit that there was a new close. That was why we came here overnight. County Magistrate Cheng listened. At first, he thought that there was something else. But after listening for a while, he understood that it was because of the curved plows. Then, there was nothing strange. He thought that the two of them had not seen the plows and yet they came here looking for him. He was not as anxious as the two of them when he personally sent the plows to others. Ah, so it was this matter. I understand. County Magistrate Cheng waited for Qi Lijing to finish speaking. Then, he nodded casually and picked up the teacup to drink. "Sir, you should quickly send people to check and find the two people in charge of Zhuangzi. Then, you should ask them to present the plows." When Qi Lijing saw that County Magistrate Cheng was not happy, he became anxious and urged him. After he finished speaking, he was worried that County Magistrate Cheng would blame him. He sat there anxiously and did not know what to do. When Old Feng saw this, he also said, "Sir, Qi Lijing is right. What if the people there do not want to present the plows and secretly destroy them? Then, our dynasty will lose a good item." "Fine. Since Old Feng said so, then I will let Old Feng and Qi Lijing be at ease." County Magistrate Cheng said as he called a servant and whispered a few words into his ear. The servant turned around and left. County Magistrate Cheng continued to invite the two people to drink tea. Qi Lijing and Old Feng thought that County Magistrate Cheng was going to send them to Zhuangzi. Thus, they calmed down. After about 15 minutes, the servant who left just now returned to the hall. He was carrying a set of plows behind him. "Qi Lijing and Old Feng, take a look. Is this the type of plows? It is different from normal plows. The shaft of this plows is curved." County Magistrate Cheng took another sip of tea and said to the two people with a smile. The plows were just taken from Zhu Shihu. Qi Lijing and Old Feng had never seen the plows used by the Zhong family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi. They only heard from the housekeeper of Ji Zhuang that the new plows were different from the old ones. When they saw it and heard what County Magistrate Cheng said, they were stunned. The two of them also knew that no matter how fast a horse was, it would not be able to go back and forth from the county to the village in such a short time. This meant that the County Magistrate Cheng already had the plows. "Sir, where did you get this plows?" Qi Lijing asked again. "In a family in the county. I already know why Qi Lijing and Old Feng are here. Don't worry. When the sun rises today, I will ask people to put up a notice in the county and ask the people who are plowing to go there to buy the plows. This morning, I came back from outside just to test this new plows." County Magistrate Cheng put on an unfathomable expression and said to Qi Lijing and Old Feng with a smile. This. Qi Lijing wanted to say something, but he did not know where to start. "Sir, since you already knew, why didn't you ask people to make more plows at the beginning of the spring plowing?" Old Feng asked. "It's not that I didn't want to, but I couldn't. Once the new plows are made, we don't know if they are good. We have to find someone to use them first." The Zhong family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi also thought the same. "Now it seems that they are good," County Magistrate Cheng said and glanced at the servant. The servant followed the county magistrate to Zhuangzi last night to test the plows, so he naturally understood what the county magistrate meant. He immediately said, "Qi Lijing and Old Feng may not know, but this new plows are called curved plows. Our county magistrate thought hard and found a farmer in Zhongjia Zhuangzi to make them. After the Zhong family and the Wang family used them and sent someone to deliver the new plows, our county magistrate did not care about his tiredness. He ordered people to make the new plows first and then personally went to a nearby farmer to test it. These days, our county magistrate has not been eating and drinking, and he has lost a lot of weight." The servant started to wipe his tears as he spoke. It seemed that he really felt sorry for the county magistrate. Qi Lijing and Old Feng were dumbfounded. They looked at County Magistrate Cheng and did not realize that he had lost weight. The two of them originally thought that they would be praised, but they did not expect that the county magistrate already knew about it. Moreover, the new plows were made by the county magistrate. Qi Lijing did not doubt it, but Old Feng, who used to be the deputy county magistrate, knew the knack of it. It seemed that the Zhong family and the Wang family had found County Magistrate Cheng. No wonder he did not care about Qi Lijing and him going there. The most important thing was that he had thought about this aspect. Qi Lijing went there overnight and did not get anything in the end. So it is the new plows made by County Magistrate. I really do not know what to say. County Magistrate is really a good official. You think about the people. County Magistrate should rest more. Don't tire yourself out. The people in the county cannot lose a good official like you. Other than saying this, Old Feng could not find anything else to say. After he finished speaking, he was about to stand up and leave. County Magistrate Cheng quickly said, "Qi Lijing and Old Feng, you don't have to leave in a hurry. Rest for a while and come with me to the place where the plows are sold." First, let the craftsman in the farmstead make 2 smaller slingshots for you to practice your strength and accuracy. It would be great if you had a gun. Do you know how to shoot? Wang Huan looked at Zhong Xiaobao's slightly protesting eyes. She twisted her words and changed the topic again. "Do you think I know how to shoot? At that time, I was abroad. I could spend a little money and I could have a place to practice. I don't have the ability to make guns. This difficult and glorious task will be handed to you." Zhong Xiaobao drank a big mouthful of soy milk and said to Wang Huan, "I don't know how to shoot either. I learned how to command. All right, I'm full. When we go later, bring some pork floss and carrot sugar juice." Wang Huan put down the chopsticks, threw down a sentence, and stood up to rinse her mouth. Zhong Xiaobao quickly ate a few more mouthfuls and followed her. When the two of them arrived at the fields in Zhuangzi, Erniu had already sent half a wheelbarrow full of stones. None of them were big. Zhong Xiaobao immediately asked people to mix these small stones with the fertilizer and turn them over to the fields. "Little young master, what are these stones for?" A farmer followed Zhong Xiaobao's instructions and asked. "I don't know. My mother told me to ask her when I go back tonight. She will tell you tomorrow." Zhong Xiaobao naturally wouldn't say that this thing was for increasing the production. Since it's the madam's order, then it's done. "Little young master, you don't need to trouble the madam anymore." The farmer didn't want to ask about this matter, even if he felt that if the stones were turned over, they would cut his feet when transplanting the seedlings. "My mother said that we don't need to transplant seedlings this year. Just throw the seedlings in directly. At that time, we will give everyone an extra pair of shoes. Don't walk barefoot in the water." Zhong Xiaobao certainly knew what the farmer was worried about. He could see it from his undisguised gaze. When the farmer heard that they didn't need to plant seedlings and just threw them casually, he immediately became anxious. "Little young master, this won't do. You have to go back and persuade the madam. If we don't plant seedlings, how can we harvest in autumn? I will do as my mother says. I heard that this is a secret recipe that my mother obtained. It's very useful. Otherwise, why wouldn't my mother be worried about her own family's land?" Zhong Xiaobao explained. When he saw the farmer's doubtful look, he didn't say anything more and went to look at the chickens with Wang Huan. If he wasn't worried about the people above investigating, he wouldn't have turned over the stubble on the ground last autumn after cutting the rice. He would wait until spring when the rice seedlings were planted, then throw the straw in. That would be more effective. But if he really did that, he would definitely be caught and questioned. Even if the land was his family's, if he really did something bad, he could still be convicted. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan each had a small slingshot. They could only hit the pebbles that were the size of soybeans. They aimed at the chickens and hit them one by one. Even if they hit them, they didn't have much strength. The chickens that were hit cooed twice and moved slightly to continue looking for food. At noon, the farmers stopped and started to prepare for lunch. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan originally didn't care about lunch. They only cared about dinner. Later, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan felt that it was a waste of a lot of manpower to go back and forth. Now that the plow was easy to use and the women could help with the plowing, they finally decided to take care of lunch as well. They quickly finished the spring plowing and let these idle people go up the mountain to pick mushrooms and wild vegetables. There was still an empty slope behind the two families. When the time came, they could plant more trees. The soil on the ground wasn't very good, so they had to transport some soil elsewhere. When the time came, they could plant fruit trees. This required people to do it. While they were eating, County Magistrate Cheng sent someone to deliver a message to the housekeeper. He told the housekeeper that Ji Yingxi had found Qi Lizheng and Old Feng and reported this matter to the county magistrate. While waiting for the people to be arranged to eat, Zhong Xiaobao learned about this matter from the housekeeper. He and Wang Huan found the housekeeper of the Wang family and said to him, "Housekeeper Wang, after lunch, go and call the steward of the Ji family in Zhuangzi. Give him a pair of curved plows and ask him to do the same." "Young master, why do you do this? Why should we let others know about our good things?" Housekeeper Wang didn't know that such things had been sent to the county magistrate and that many of them had been made. Leave the recipe or leave the brains. County Magistrate Cheng has already arranged for people to start buying. Wang Huan felt that this housekeeper's brain was a little slow. It was such a simple principle, but he couldn't understand it. After hearing Wang Huan's words, the housekeeper thought for a while and finally nodded, "I understand. I will go in a while." After housekeeper Wang left, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan found a tree stump that had sprouted new buds and sat down to rest. They were tired. After shooting slingshots for the whole morning, their arms were sore. "This Ji Yingxi is really anxious." Wang Huan drank a mouthful of carrot juice and looked in the direction of the Ji family in Zhuangzi and said, "Yes, in fact, it's not easy for him. After being cheated by our two families, that farmer doesn't have the energy to work. The small river between him and us is not bad. We can use it in the future, especially the wide area below. When the time comes, we can ask him if he is willing to cooperate. If he is willing, we can work together." Villager GE is also here. Housekeeper GE, this is the new plow on Zhuangzi. We call it the curved shaft plow. A few days ago, we wanted to see if this plow was good, so we didn't let Villager GE know. If it wasn't good, wouldn't the GE family's Zhuangzi be harmed? When housekeeper Wang, who was waiting here, saw someone crossing the bridge, he immediately went to greet them. As he walked back, he asked someone to bring the plow for them to see. No normal person would believe what he said. Ji Yingxi and the housekeeper squatted down and looked at the plow carefully. At the same time, Ji Yingxi said to housekeeper Wang, "Housekeeper Wang is very thoughtful. So this plow can be used. Do you want to find village chief? This will be a great achievement." Ji Yingxi's tone was sour when he said this. He thought he found someone to make the Zhong Xiaobao and Wang family compromise in Zhuangzi. There's no need for that. In fact, the county magistrate was the one who asked us to make this plow. There should be many similar plows on sale in the county right now. I'll give this to village head GE. It's not too late to take it back and make the same. When housekeeper Wang looked at Ji Yingxi, he felt that this person was a little pitiful. He spent so much effort, but the result didn't change, but the process was different. He thought that Ji Yingxi must be very upset. Ah! The county magistrate already knew. This, good. So the county magistrate wants to increase the income of the people, so he made this plow. It's really not ordinary. Ji Yingxi was indeed uncomfortable. He didn't believe that the county magistrate already knew, but when he heard that the county already had this kind of plow, he understood that the Zhong Xiaobao and Wang family thought about it before him. He felt that he was using all his strength to catch a chicken on the ground, but in the end, he caught nothing. The Zhong Xiaobao and Wang family were really too deceitful. Chapter 80. Time flew by quickly. 6 days had passed since the spring equinox, but there was still no reward. Not even a sentence had been delivered, let alone a physical object. Bureaucracy, this is bureaucracy. Everyone knows that the plow is useful, but they are entangled with it for their own benefits. I heard that in the other counties of this prefecture, people started to make curved plows in less than 2 days after County Magistrate Cheng sent in the memorials. This means that they got the job done, but left the benefits to be shared equally. Wang Huan sat on a stool and rested her chin on her hands as she complained to Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao also knew about this matter, but he didn't care. His face was calm, and he was more concerned about the fact that there wasn't even a single rain these days. The small amount of water that rose when the snow melted had receded. Based on this, even if they built between the clouds and the water on the other side of the river this year, it would be useless. When the water dried up, where would they go to enjoy the fun? Xiaobao, think of a way. If the people in the prefecture take the credit and only give County Magistrate Cheng a little, won't we have no credit at all? Wang Huan nudged Zhong Xiaobao. Okay, think of a way. This kind of thing is actually not that difficult. Ask Ernu to come here. Zhong Xiaobao saw that Wang Huan wanted him to solve this problem, so he had to put the matter of the restaurant aside for the time being. Ernu led 2 people. After a few days of hard work, they finally finished all the stones. Except for the one that Zhong Xiaobao deliberately left behind, there wasn't a single complete stone left. He didn't have anything to do these 2 days, so he helped make the sauce at home. Just as he finished making the sauce base, someone came to find him, saying that the young master had something to do. Ernu didn't dare to delay, so he put down the work in his hands and hurried to Zhuangzi. After being instructed by Zhong Xiaobao, he came out again and disappeared from the sight of the villagers. After dealing with this matter, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan went to Cheriz's place. Yesterday, a chicken laid eggs. Today, it seemed that more chickens would lay eggs. The eggs that had just hatched were still small, so they couldn't be used to hatch them. These eggs could be sold for money. Originally, they should be put in the market here, but everyone was busy and didn't have time to go to the market. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan wanted to see if the eggs were really small. If they were really small, they could be temporarily used for other business. Cherries was now in a separate courtyard, which was full of chicken coops. Cherries didn't care about trivial matters. The chores were done by other people. Before Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan walked in, they heard a chaotic sound from outside. It was the kind of sound that came after eggs were laid. It seemed that there were many chickens laying eggs today. Standing outside the courtyard, the smell wasn't as strong as imagined, but Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan still frowned at the same time. They felt that this hygiene was a bit difficult to handle. Young master, young lady, why are you here? The smell here is strong. Go back quickly. What if you get smelly? When Cherries was checking the eggs, a gatekeeper came to report to her that the young master and his wife were here. She quickly put down the work in her hands and came out to persuade Zhong Xiaobao and his wife to go back. It's okay, Cherries. Did you get the cesspool that I specially asked you to get? Why is there still a little smell? Zhong Xiaobao waved his hand indifferently and asked Cherries. It's built, it's all built. Well, according to young master's instructions, we wash it with water every day. But the chickens always need to eat, so they have to be discharged. There's no good way. He said it casually, But he knew in his heart that this matter was not so simple. Chapter 81. Coo coo coo, coo coo coo. On a mountain behind Zhongjia Zhuangzi, Cherries and a few people were calling the chickens to come over and eat. Cherries found that since the chickens were moved to the mountain, they needed less food every day. Some of the chickens could find food anywhere on the mountain. What's more, some unlucky insects would be accidentally eaten by the chickens. The chickens grew better than before. Thinking of this, Yingtao admired the young master and the young lady once again. Even though she had admired them for a long time, she still admired them for saving food. Another thing was that the young master and the young lady actually sold the small eggs at a higher price than the big eggs. They would buy at least 50 jin of eggs each time, which would cost the buyer 12 copper coins more. The most important thing was that people would rush to buy at such a high price. Their ability to make money was really amazing. It seemed that there was nothing in the world that the young master and his wife couldn't do. The more Cherries thought about it, the happier she was, especially now that she was in charge of so many chickens. The young master said that each place would keep the accounts separately. At the end of the year, whoever earned more would get more rewards. The most important thing was not the rewards, but the young master said that whoever got more rewards would be more capable. In the future, the young master could give more important things to this person to do. As long as she worked hard to raise the chickens, the young master and his wife Cuckoo would arrange to sell them. At that time, she would definitely be better than others. Who said that girls were inferior to boys? Parents always praised the younger brother. Let's see who they praised this time. Cherries thought about it and laughed. A girl beside her touched her curiously. Sister Cherries, what are you laughing at? I'm laughing. In the future, when the eggs are ready to be hatched, I'll hatch more and give them to the farmers in Zhuangzi. At that time, every family can live a good life and their children can grow white and fat. Cherries laughed again. Yes, they can live a good life. This is all because of Sister Cherries. The young master is really good at judging people. The people around him have so many things to do and they can do them well. The young master and his wife are really immortals. The girl said again. Don't always mention this. In fact, the young master and his wife also have times when they are worried. But every time they are worried, they can think of a good solution. In fact, we are all taught by the young master. It's the same who is with the young master. Yingtao glared at the girl and modestly said. This young lady was also from the inner courtyard. If it was an outsider who said such things, Yingtao would have investigated who leaked the information. The girl stuck out her tongue in fear. Sister Cherries, I swear that I will bury this matter in my heart and won't tell anyone. Without the young master and his wife, our good days will come to an end. We won't be able to find a master who is so good to us. Hurry up and feed the chickens. These chickens eat so much all day. When the time comes, we can kill them to eat. I heard the young master and his wife say that when we have more money, we will build a school so that the 2 children in Zhuangzi can read and write. Cherries poured down half a bucket of feed and thought about the future in Zhuangzi. The girl also nodded. Yes, it's very good now. They found 2 doctors who stayed in Zhuangzi. One specializes in treating people, and the other is in treating livestock. The day before yesterday, I felt a little dizzy, so I went there and got a prescription. When I came back, I drank it. I didn't spend a penny. They said it was the young master's money. Everyone in the inner courtyard is like this. The farmers seem to have to spend some money themselves. I heard from the housekeeper that the farmers don't need to spend money in the future, but they have to pay a part of the annual harvest. This part of the money is used to take care of everything. They will treat the sick, bury the dead, and even build houses in the future. Then you have to do things properly in the future. If you really make a mistake, others won't be able to protect you even if they want to. In a while, send these eggs to the warehouse and sell them to those people. Cherry said seriously as he carried the empty bucket back. Today's meal was more or less over. Chizhou, Linyu County. People came and went on the streets. The restaurants and inns were very noisy. On this day, 3 people came here carrying a heavy thing and directly found a blacksmith shop. "Shopkeeper, do you still care about carpentry?" one of the 3 people asked. "Yes, my son specializes in carpentry. Are the 3 of you going to make something?" One of the blacksmiths stopped what he was doing and wiped away the sweat on his forehead with his hand and asked with a smile. "Yes, make something like this for us." The 3 people said and took out the thing wrapped in cloth and showed it to the blacksmith. Is this a plough? Why have I never seen it before?" The blacksmith was puzzled. No wonder the 3 people wanted carpentry. This plough was made of iron and wood. "Yes, it is a plough. This plough is called a curved shaft plough. It was made by our Sanshui County Magistrate. It works very fast and is several times faster than a normal plough. It is even faster when people pull it than when animals pull it. The plough is also very deep. I have 2 relatives here who bought one in Sanshui County and made another one here. In this way, 1 or 2 of my relatives have one. When I came here, I saw a lot of fields that haven't been ploughed. It's too slow. Sanshui County has already done it. Some of them have been ploughed twice." "Our county magistrate is awesome, right?" The man continued talking. When he talked about the county magistrate, he straightened his back and raised his head as if the county magistrate was his father. "Really? Which county magistrate is your county magistrate? He cares about this kind of thing?" The blacksmith was attracted by the man's words. Thinking that he also had relatives whose fields hadn't been ploughed, he thought he could make one for them. "How can it be fake? Our county magistrate's surname is Cheng, his name is Ling Xiong, and his courtesy name is Anran. He is a good county magistrate. Let me tell you, in order to let us do the spring ploughing well, the county magistrate doesn't eat or drink." The man didn't stop talking about the county magistrate. He started from the auspicious signs and then talked about the county magistrate sending food and oil to the poor people during the new year. Then he talked about the curved shaft plough. He perfected Song Jingong's words and exaggerated them even more. As he talked, more and more people gathered around. The other 2 men who came with him were afraid that some people didn't hear everything, so they went to the side and talked to a group of people. As they talked, they made gestures and pushed the curved shaft plough in front of the crowd to let them have a good look. They also introduced the benefits of the plough over and over again. After the people around remembered it, they handed it to the blacksmith and said that they would come to pick it up at night. It was a total of 60 coins. They paid on the spot. After leaving the plough, the 3 of them each found a restaurant to eat. When they arrived at the restaurant, they joined in the crowd. After a few words, they began to talk about the curved shaft plough and talked about the county magistrate. They also pointed out which blacksmith shop was making it. After eating in the restaurant, they didn't waste any time and went to the tea house to drink tea. They didn't even drink the free tea in the restaurant. They drank the tea from the tea house set up by the roadside. The same words were said by the 3 of them again. However, before night fell, different versions of the story began to appear in Chizhou's Linyu County. Some said that the county magistrate of Sanshui County only came up with the plough after his hair turned white overnight. Some said that the county magistrate of Sanshui County was so thin that he was only skin and bones. He was so touched that he told the story in a dream. The story of the curved shaft plough was also amazing. Some said that a person could pull it faster than 2 oxen. Some said that as long as the plough was put on the ground, it could plough by itself. No matter which one it was, they all connected the plough with County Magistrate Cheng of Sanshui County. When the plough was mentioned, people would think of County Magistrate Cheng. When people talked about County Magistrate Cheng, people would talk about the curved shaft plough. When night fell, the 3 of them came to the blacksmith shop again. The blacksmith was already waiting there. He handed the plough to the 3 of them and watched them walk away. The blacksmith closed the door, pulled his son, and carried his 2 large curved shaft plough to his relative's house. The 3 of them didn't take the curved shaft plough to their relative's house. Instead, they turned around and left for the next county. The blacksmith and his son each sent the 2 ploughs to their relative's house. They also told their relative what they had heard during the day. When the relative heard it, he couldn't help it. He didn't care that it was already late and took the curved shaft plough to the fields. Some curious neighbors also followed behind. The blacksmith's son pulled at the front while the relative controlled the plough from behind. After walking a few steps, he got used to the plough's speed. The blacksmith's relative was very happy.